Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Critical Podcast. I am your host, Jimmy Good, and joining me once again is my go-to podcast compadre and co-host, Mr. Joe Lever. Joe, how are you doing tonight, my friend?
Exponentially well.
Exponentially. Wow, you're just getting more well all the time.
I'm getting more and more well all the time, every day.
That's amazing, dude. What a great answer. Exponentially well. Not a lot of people I know can pull off that word, but you did it, and I believe you.
Sure, yeah, did I use it properly? I don't know. It didn't really work well.
It's okay.
Well, I'm doing pretty darn good, though. How about that?
That's pretty
good.
How
about yourself?
I'm just fine, thank you. And as of today, this recording, we're recording on St. Patrick's Day, so when you guys see this, we're going to be a few days behind, but happy St. Patrick's Day from the past. Top of the morning to you. I don't know. I felt like I did like a whole thing with my hand there. I don't know. Also, Joe, I neglected to talk about this last week because we had guests on, Bruce and Connie from Unlocking the Magic, to talk about WandaVision. Joe, you're going to get your chance, I think, here at the end of the show to kind of divulge your thoughts, too, because I want to hear them. But it was the 260th episode, Joe, which means that is 5 years worth of podcasting right there, baby, if my math isn't incorrect. 52 times 5, which should be 260, if I'm not wrong. Maybe I am. But anyway, Thank you to you and everybody for listening for 5 years. That's kind of nuts. When I started this a long time ago, I didn't think it'd be 5 years once a week for that amount of time. It's a lot. So, yeah, I think there's like 1 or 2 people who've been here since the beginning, and there's about 4 or 5 who are still listening. So that is not exponential, but hey, that's growth. So we take it where we can get it. So thank you, everybody. I didn't want to do a big 5-year special show because I was like, you know what? The work shows and speaks for itself. Okay, look at this. I got a microphone that's different than when we started a long time ago. I don't know. Anywho, but on today's show, I want to do a follow-up to one of our most beloved episodes of all time, according to my mom, which was the 1v1 fights in movies, the best one-on-one fights. If you haven't seen that, go check it out. Shout out again to Troy. What a fun little one-on-one. They got a couple of one-on-one fights, but oh man, it's good. Anyway, but today we're talking 2 versus 1 because there are a few just fantastic, maybe, dare I say it, iconic 2 versus 1 fights we're going to talk about here today. Full-on spoiler, though, and also spoilers for these movies. We'll say maybe the movie name first before we spoil it. But I also want to say we haven't, shout out to The Raid right now. We have not seen it. If I don't say it, then people will say that. And then there's also a Jackie Chan movie called Who Am I, where he fights a guy who can kick and a guy who can punch. And they fight each other, and apparently it's really cool, like the 3 of them. I'm sorry I haven't seen those movies, but I want to say them here because then later on in the comments, people say, like, you didn't say The Raid or the one with Jackie Chan. But yes, check those out as well because maybe we will at some point. I just haven't seen The Raid yet. I want it on a streaming service. How many streaming services do I need before it's on there? Like, I don't... You know what I mean? It's just like not
I don't
there.
even know what it is, so sorry if that offends anyone.
It's a lower budget action film where a guy, it's like, a Judge Dredd was like kind of fighting up a building in that movie, like with Karl Urban.
You lost me at lower budget action film.
That's fine. But anyway, so it's really, really good martial artists though. And it's a lot of, I think like steady cam, but like really like they know what they're doing. It's not like a lot of edits.
So it's really well choreographed.
Yeah, it's like
actual
beautiful to watch where you're like, oh my gosh, these guys could do this blindfolded and they'd wreck us. But yeah, so I do want to check it out because I do love a good fight scene. So we'll get to The Raid, but I just want to say that right now. And The Raid, the other Raid, the Shadow one or the 2, or I'm so sorry. Anyway, so Joe, I kind of threw you a list of the kind of some 2-on-1 fights. Are there any immediately that jump out to you personally that you're like, yeah, we got to talk about this one? Maybe not.
Yeah, Godzilla 2014, the Muto.
The Muto, yeah, dude, for sure. That's a good one. Right. I didn't even think about that one. I looked it up, like best 2-on-1 fights, and that one, I was like, oh yeah, that's a pretty fun fight.
2 giant cockroaches giving Godzilla a little bit of a rough time, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, which I always thought the Muto was a weird name for him because a lot of these things could be Muto because it's massively unidentified terrestrial organism or something like that. unidentified terrestrial organism. And I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of weird. But you're right. They're like these kind of big bug things. Like there's a male and a female, and Godzilla is not having it. He's like, this relationship is over. So the Muto fight, what was it that kind of drove you towards it or reminded you to think of it when we were talking about this?
Yeah. What was it that drove me to think of it? Basically, the fact that I mean, it's low hanging freaking fruit, right? It's low hanging fruit. I mean, I had another joke in there, but it might be a little too rated R.
The after hours version of the podcast will definitely record that.
Yeah. It involved Godzilla and some wrecking balls. I'm just kidding.
Yep, wrecking balls in the city because it's under construction because Godzilla was destroying it. I don't know. Anyway, Muto.
Yeah. Anywho, well, no, that's part of it too. Is like the just that. What do you want to say? That climactic fight of them coming together. The one could fly. The one was was ground dwelling, and then him taking the two of them on. All the while, you have all this devastation around them. Yeah, the fight is enthralling, but at the same time, you're like, San Francisco or whatever that city was, it's done for.
Yeah,
she gone.
Oh, for sure.
So there's kind of different aspects to look at it, the destruction and just chaos of it, but then also the art that is giant creatures like that combating in an urban environment like that. I think it's something that, to make Godzilla cool, you really gotta, first of all, he's got to look right. He's got to look like he's real. And the way they can do CG now, between him and the Muto, I mean, they looked really good.
Yeah.
And then the fight on top of it with all that fast action and movement. And granted, they do a lot of dust and cloudy bullcrap. They're gonna, but it just looked really good. And then the way they physically interacted with the environment itself and the destruction that happens, well done. So, yeah, I mean, and when I say low hanging fruit, it's just really easy to pick Godzilla just because of that scale of fighting, and it's pretty typical that Godzilla is kind of taking on more than one at a time. So it's only fitting that that's what happened here in his modern day debut.
Oh, that's a great way to put that for sure. Yeah, I was thinking about it too because I think it was the male of the Muto could fly, and then the female was much larger and she was grounded. And I remember that fight because like Godzilla they put their hooks in him, and they have those moments in these Godzilla movies where it's like Godzilla's gonna lose. And you're like, oh, it's really sad, but he's okay. There's one moment though. There's two great moments. Again, Godzilla 2014. It's been 6.5, almost 7 years. You should have seen it by now. We're giving you a chance to go check it out. But if you're still here, two of my favorite moments. The one's flying up behind him, I believe, at one point, and Godzilla kind of turns, and it's the best tail whip I think I've ever seen in movie history, because he takes it, slams it into the building, and it, like, skewers the thing. And it, like, comes out of nowhere, because Godzilla, not really known for using his tail a ton, like this, but it comes out of nowhere, just destroys this thing, and it's like a kill shot. And you're like, that one's done. And then the finisher, the atomic breath down the throat of the other, like the female, I think, and like ripping the head off is like, oh my gosh. It was like, yes.
I've seen that move done in another movie or two where it's the whole like kind of like rip the jaw open thing. Yeah. And I always remember it, not great movies in their own right, but the Underworld movies. I think it was the second one where they resurrect the original werewolf Lycan.
Oh, yeah. He's like trapped away.
I remember. Yeah, and so they have the one hybrid guy or whatever, and he fights it, which is a one-on-one fight, so it can't count. Otherwise, I would have brought it up.
We should have brought it up last time, right now.
Yeah, he literally rips the jaw off of the upper jaw and just. I know it's super graphic and kind of gory, but like for certain movies, and it's really like, wow, that was dope.
Yep.
And they do a really good job with it in Godzilla. Granted, he doesn't like graphically like just rip its jaw off, but I mean, he basically holds its mouth open and burns it from the inside out, and the head just falls off the body, or the body falls off the head.
Yeah.
Is
Which
more apt.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, man. I love that. I'm glad that you brought that up about Underworld. I can't believe we didn't talk about Underworld fights. I feel like a lot of the cool Underworld fights, just side note here, is like the our hybrid guy, Michael, who's fighting the main vampire. Bill Nye, and that fight's cool because he like teleports behind him like 2 or 3 times because he's that fast, but he still like loses to him, and then Kate Beckinsale just destroys him in one hit, and you're like, oh, come on, man.
Oh yeah, well, there's a 2-on-1 fight. It's the two of them against Bill Nye.
Sure, yeah, she gets the killing blow, right? But yeah, so I agree though. Godzilla, that's a good one, and the Godzilla King of the Monsters, Joe. I'd love to have you watch that and tell me what you think of it, but I like the fights there. You just don't get the same scale. Something about Gareth Edwards' 2014 incarnation is there's something about it that like you feel how big these things are, or like when something flies past a building, like you feel like they do a shot like that in the second one where Rodan flies over and like destroys homes, but there's one where like the Muto goes by an office building and the windows kind of rattle because it's like this big thing flying past, and you're like, wow, that thing is massive. And if you were in that building, you'd be like, I gotta get out of here, because you're like, they're gonna kill us all just without even trying. They'd just be in the wreckage, you know. But yeah, man, good pick.
It's collateral damage, I guess you would say, and they don't really take too much notice.
Right? Yeah, dude. Well, moving on down the list, I want to throw on one here that I forgot to put on the list, but I'm going back to my The Mask of Zorro. I think I maybe teased it last time because I talked about Zorro versus Captain Love, but there is a moment towards the middle, a little bit after, I think, where Zorro goes in to steal some plans, and he fights both Captain Love and Don Raphael, like the main bad guy. He fights them both in a hallway, and he's fighting them simultaneously with rapiers, or the swords they have. And it's a really cool fight scene, a lot of steady shots, and it looks really legit. There's even one moment where there's like a shot from behind Zorro while he's fighting both of them, and you can see him kind of parrying and deflecting all of their attacks. And you're like, whoa, this guy's so good. And that's Antonio Banderas. Please, everybody, go watch that movie. It's so good. It's just, man, it's so good. And I found out recently Catherine Zeta-Jones is Welsh. So what do I know? I didn't know she was from there. I was like, okay, I'm learning stuff all the time. But anyway, that was one of my 2v1s. I love a good sword fight, Joe. I love a good sword fight. Which, there's another series known for sword fights, right? It's a little one somebody might have heard of.
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Pirates of the Caribbean. Also, that reminds me, I saw on like a lot of lists, people were like, Jack Sparrow versus Will Turner versus Jim Norrington in the end of Dead Man's Chest. I think, again, I want to save that for a free-for-all. If we ever want to come back to this series, a free-for-all fight, because none of them are teamed up with each other. They're all just like fighting each other.
One-on-one.
Yeah, and it's a lot of Jack getting caught in between the other two who may actually just be better swordsmen, and he's just trying to like win, and sometimes you see those two fighting in the background and he's just kind of like, I'm in this fight as well, it's a great sequence, don't get me wrong, but it's a free-for-all,
which is great direction and character. I mean, good acting. I mean, that's that character that's so perfect. That's a detail, and good on you as a viewer, consumer, to pick up on that kind of detail.
Appreciate it.
It shows it counts for something, because that's true to his nature. That's probably how he would react. I mean, that's freaking great. I love that kind of stuff. Pirates of the Caribbean, no matter what, I'll never that hit. That's a nostalgic series for me. Period. Always will be.
I feel bad now that we didn't put Jack versus Barbossa in at the one-on-one fights, and there's that one part where Barbossa's like, so what'll it be, Jack? He's like, you and I locked together in a battle for eternity until Judgment Day and the trumpets sound, and Jack's like, or you could surrender. It's just they're like undead beings who are like, we're gonna fight each other forever. It's just Yeah, man, Pirates. That first Pirates, man, is a flippin' banger of a film. Like, I love
Oh,
all
it
the.
is.
I like all the Pirates films. Black Pearl, freaking beautiful, baby.
Yeah.
Oof.
The problem with the Pirates films is the Black Pearl starts to lose its luster of being cool, scary,
Yes,
ominous, and
it
all
should be
that.
the scariest ship anywhere. And it was like, no, the Flying Dutchman comes up out of the water. And I'm like, I get that's cool. I get it's cool. But I was like, but the Black Pearl used to mean something. It was the fastest and the strongest. And people were terrified of it. And the sails, they didn't
But
make
now
sense.
the crew isn't dead. It used
They're
to
not
have an
dead.
undead crew.
Yeah, man, that was the height of their power, man. I just like skeletons, man. Creepy skeletons.
But
Anyway,
they all wanted to taste apples again, and they gave
want-
it all. Gave up the scariness just
dang
to
it,
taste
Barbosa.
apples.
He just wanted some apples, man. Anyway,
I mean,
the one I was alluding to earlier was not necessarily Pirates of the Caribbean, even though that's a great franchise in its own right, like we're talking about here, but that of Star Wars. Now, in the original trilogy, not really a lot of 2-on-1s. Maybe you could count Vader and Luke versus Palpatine, kind of, sort of, at the very end of Return of the Jedi. I don't know, that seems like stretching, or reaching a little bit. I'm talking mainly about the prequels, because that's where the 2-on-1 fights are aplenty, baby. It's back in the day when the Jedi used to tag team it. They're like, you know what, let's fight this guy together. And often would get separated and taken apart, which is too bad. But this is one we were kind of wanted to talk about the last time, but obviously I think the best one for many people, and maybe one of the favorite lightsaber fights of all time for many, is Darth Maul versus Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, way back in the day, back for Phantom Menace. I don't know, pretty iconic scene, right? When you think of the prequels, that's maybe one of the first things people think about. You know?
indubitably.
Yeah, is that how you feel too? Like, even though you've come into Star Wars a little bit later, you still feel you're like, oh,
Yeah, I'm just trying to make sure a 2-on-1. You know, yeah, that's probably one of the best ones. It's a little bit of a dance, and let's move down this hallway, and then they got to get to the point where Obi-Wan gets cut off from the fight and all that.
yeah,
But I also think about what is it? The name.
that one. Yep.
Shame on me. Shame
No,
on
it's
me.
fine. Give me some help.
Count Dooku.
Yeah, dude.
Count Dooku.
Which one with Count Dooku?
So you get Anakin and Obi, right, going after him, and Anakin gets his hand lopped off.
Yes,
right?
in Attack of the Clones. Yes, because they go in and Anakin's like, I'm going now. And you're like, I
Yeah,
wouldn't.
yeah.
You know.
And then when does Yoda get involved with that fight? Is that at that same sequence?
Yes, so Anakin runs in. They kind of fight for a sec, and then I think, does he get lightninged off to the side? Obi fights him. Obi gets taken out, and then Anakin gets the two lightsabers, and they like fight in the dark. And I know a lot of people make fun of that, where it's just like lights flashing in front of their faces. But then after Anakin loses his arm, that's when Yoda shows up, and that's when the music swells, and you're like, man, Count Dooku could take on a whole flipping army. He's taking on like one Jedi after the next. He's like, come, send him in, send them all in.
Yeah.
Yes, that's where Yoda gets involved, and that's again kind of, it's 1-on-1, but also maybe 3-on-1. I don't know how you take that, but yeah, that's I like the one in Revenge of the Sith where it's Anakin and Obi, and you can tell Anakin's learned. Because Obi's like, we're going to do it together this time. And Anakin walks behind him. He's like, I was about to say that. And that's where the Christopher Lee, we miss you, Christopher. You're fantastic. But where he's like, I've been looking forward to this. And Anakin's like, my powers have doubled since last we met, Count. And he's like, good. Twice the pride, double the fall. And you're like, oh my gosh, he's throwing smack at these guys. I'm like,
yeah. What good writing. Oh,
yeah,
that's
I love
a good line.
It's it's so good. I think about it a lot because I'm like, yeah, dude, if you're gonna be super cocky, it's like it's gonna be even worse when you lose again. And he almost does. Dooku's scary, man. He freaking force chokes Obi, throws him into this thing, and like drops a hallway on him, or like whatever that deck is, and. I don't know how Obi's legs weren't broken from that. I've thought about that a lot because like a big like piece of metal that falls down and like lands on his legs, and it's like, you'll be fine. But anyway, I like that fight.
Obi's primary powers, he's got a leg force field.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that one. That's a great leg force field's real good. But yeah, I still like Darth Maul. Also, the music helps a lot. Back in Phantom Menace, I think that Duel of the Fates. You know, you hear that music and you're like, oh, it's very fast. It was like the dawn of the fast lightsaber fight, like the really fast, like almost too fast. People were like, oh, this might be too much. I personally love it. I love the fast fighting because I'm like, oh, that's, these guys are good. They're really good with the Force, and they might know how to wield lightsabers better than you or I. Because I definitely, if I had Darth Maul's, I'd lop my leg off or arm off at some point doing a cool move. Like, yeah, it would be.
You're not. You may be able to twirl it like a baton,
Yeah.
But I don't know about actually like effectively fighting with it and not killing yourself in the process.
No. Or throwing it. Like, he doesn't throw it in there, but in like every video game, he has the lightsaber throw. I'm just thinking, like, that's a cool move, but also on that return journey, every time there's part of him that's like, I gotta do this right. I just gotta do it.
I gotta catch it in the center.
Which,
if
quick
I
side
fumble,
note,
it's gonna keep.
Yeah, I'm gonna be done. One way or another, I'm screwed. Well, actually, maybe not for Maul, because he came back from being chopped in half. That he's pretty resilient. A lot of people say, like, you can't, like, have a lightsaber on if there must be a reason for this, but like lightsabers can't be on unless you're holding it, but people throw their lightsabers. So maybe with the Force, could I turn somebody's lightsaber on in like their pocket or on their side if I was just like,
Kylo Ren does it to what's his face in the Supreme
right.
Leader's room or whatever.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, Snoke. That's true.
Snoke, yeah, he spins it and dead.
It's one of the main villains of that sequel trilogy, and you're like, what's his name? He's dead now. I don't care. Spoiler alert for The Last Jedi. Man, it's hard to keep all the names straight of all these subtitles. Anyway, but yeah, I'd probably say the Maul one is the one most people go to, but I still really like Count Dooku in Revenge of the Sith getting flippin' beheaded too. Revenge of the Sith is a dark movie, man. Like, just Count Dooku just looking over to Palpatine. Palpatine's just like, do it. And he's like, he should have been like, Master, what are you talking? What? Come on, man. Like,
wait, reacquaint me, refresh me. What happens there?
So Count Dooku, he takes Chancellor Palpatine captive, but obviously Palpatine's Sidious, and like Anakin does this amazing maneuver where he chops off Count Dooku's hands. It kicks Dooku's lightsaber up in the air, and Anakin grabs it and puts the lightsabers like over his shoulders, like a pair of scissors, and he's like, and Palpatine's like, he's like, you gotta kill him. He's too dangerous to be kept alive, basically, what Mace says later on. And Anakin's like, I shouldn't. And that's why he says, do it. And that's what Dooku kind of looks at him like, Dooku should have, like, betrayed him right there. But, like, dude, that's my master, Anakin. That guy right there, he's a bad guy. Like, you feel like Anakin be like, I guess we're gonna take you back to Coruscant to figure this out, boys. But yeah, just lops his head off. And I was like, oh, man, decapitation we've gotten the arms, right? And the legs and stuff, but decapitation does not happen often in Star Wars, and I am here for it, baby. Freaking love it.
Star Wars rated R.
Dude, the problem is those lightsabers, they keep cauterizing those wounds, Joe. Except for the original.
So there's no blood and gore.
In the original New Hope, if you go back and you can see it, like when Obi-Wan chops off that dude's arm at the cantina, there's like blood next to it on the ground. So I think that was before they thought of, they're like, all right, if it's a laser sword, how would that work? You know, like the logistics of it. Yeah. So anyway, lightsabers are fun. Joe, do you have another one for us here besides decapitation and Darth Maul? Both great things.
I'm gonna save a couple of my favorites for later.
He's saving them. I love it. Putting them in his back pocket.
One Marvel, one DC teaser. Spoiler alert! Yep. Oh, can you guess them? I think it's time we cover a very near and dear favorite to both of us, right?
Oh, excellent.
Little JP.
Oh,
Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
What's the best 2-on-1 of that entire movie, Jimmy?
Okay, for Jurassic Park, like the actual dude, it's Ellie.
It's clearly running. It's the two Velociraptors against Muldoon.
Oh, dude,
that is the best 2-on-1 of Jurassic Park. Period. Nobody ever thinks about it.
That's true.
Well, I guess the snake was number 3. The snake.
The snake's part. I was gonna say Ellie running from the thing, like trapping that one raptor, but there might be another raptor outside, kind of, sort of. But dude, that's right, Muldoon. If I was Muldoon, I would not have done the clever girl thing. I would have just. But obviously, it's a movie. Like, you got to make it interesting.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, yeah.
Do you think that's effective range for a shotgun? Was he using shells? Do you think? Because like he's kind of far away from it, right?
So I would assume that it was a. What did he?
He's got a
I don't
Spas.
remember if he. It's a Spas 12,
Yeah.
which means it would be a 12 gauge, and I'm almost. There's no way. First of all, for those that aren't familiar with firearms, and I'm no expert, but I mean, a shotgun, there are different types of shells, right?
Yeah.
And your primaries are, you get your pellet, or you have your slugs.
I meant to say slug. I'm sorry.
At that range, he better be using slugs because
Right?
ain't nothing else gonna do the job.
Right? I was like, he's kind of like what? He's like 25 feet away or something like that, maybe further. I forget because he's like it's a good distance.
It's a ways.
Yeah. So
So he better have a slug, and it better be a 12 gauge, so it better pack a punch. Otherwise, you're in trouble.
Yeah, so maybe he did have slugs because when he turned to fire, even though I don't think he got the shot off on that other one, even if it was a slug, that might not have taken it down. That might have just pissed it off because it might have just like clipped it as opposed to the BBs, which would kind of rip apart.
Yeah, but think of a shotgun shell size and think of instead of a bunch of BBs, you got just one big slug of lead in there. That's quite the projectile.
Oh, totally. I'm just thinking if like he turns and he kind of shoots upwards and it kind of grazes, it might not have actually.
Oh yeah,
landed.
sure. I mean, if he's not like kill shotting the thing somewhere in a vital or in the head, it's not doing the job. But yeah. No, I get you. But if he can spin quick enough and get that thing, boom, it's done. But in that amount of time, the other one's already running at you. It's all over. They're velociraptors, man. They are always hungry and they hate everyone.
Yeah, dude, everybody knows this. They can never have enough human flesh. Like, I want to see a chonky velociraptor with a big, like, swinging belly, just trucking 60 miles per hour for, like, 2 seconds, and then is like, just, like, lays down.
Honestly, without a doubt, there needs to be a Jurassic Park, like, spoof film.
Yeah.
And there needs to be the overweight velociraptor that's just like, oh, I possibly couldn't have another bite. Like, I just like I'm eating too much, Mike.
That's like
without me.
It's a Monty Python skit where they get a guy to eat all the food at a restaurant, and this waiter comes up, and the guy's gotten huge over the course of the meal, and the waiter's like, he's like, oh, what do you care for a mint for dessert, sir? And the guy's like, oh, I couldn't possibly have another. And he's like, it's just a mint, sir. And the guy's like, well, fine. And he, like, as the waiter gives it to him, the waiter just runs and jumps like over a barricade because the guy eats it and then just explodes. Like, so when he said that, I was like, oh, that'd be so great, like a fat velociraptor. And you're like, do you want any more food? And he was like, I could not do it.
I couldn't possibly.
Yes, I couldn't. Yeah.
Like when it tries to run, its like legs are just like pinwheels on the side of a giant abdomen. It's just like.
It's like I can't. That'd be pretty freaky. It's just like chomping on the ground as it's like scooting forward at like 1 mile per hour. It's like.
Yeah, it'd be like a slug with teeth and claws. Oh God, I'm gonna have nightmares.
You get Jurassic Park. Hey, Universal, call us up, guys, because I know that you're kind of rounding it up with the 6th film, but like we are happy to work on 7 or a spin-off. I have ideas. Joe clearly has ideas. We're happy to help you keep this franchise.
I got nightmare type of ideas. You hear
nightmare
that?
fuel,
Nightmare
baby.
type.
Let's go. That's a good 2-on-1 though. I didn't think about that one. That's a good one. It's a little bit different than in the book, which he has like a rocket launcher. So they took that out, which would have been pretty good. Like if he would have, like, I don't know if he dies the same way yet, but like if he would have just shot a rocket off into the sky. Oh my gosh, that's like how I play Call of Duty. I'm like, get the RPG out. I'm like, this will totally work. Never works.
Yeah,
for me.
Or it's like at the ground right next to you, so you just shoot at the ground. We're all dead.
He's like, I'm gonna rocket jump this. Ugh.
That's probably what I would do. I mean, I'd rather just die from an explosion of my own RPG than allow it to eat me.
Yeah, especially after what Alan Grant said earlier. He's like, they are alive when they begin to eat you. You're like, oh, okay then. Ooh, beautiful. Love to hear it.
Or hear me out.
Okay.
Hear me out.
I am.
I'm an experienced crocodile wrestler. All these things are crocodiles with longer legs. Wrestle it to the ground.
Just wrestle it to the ground, baby. Throw a saddle
Who's
on
the
it,
real apex predator here? Do the jaw spread on it.
There you go. Perfect. There you go. Just,
Snap! Oh!
side note, Velocicoaster coming to Universal's Island of Adventure this summer. Please, Universal, invite us down. We'd love to see it.
Hey, Jimmy, I got another 2-on-1 for you.
What's that?
Me wrestling a velociraptor with 2 pythons. Oh!
Oh, well, there goes our invitation. You're like, I'm pretty sure I could take out a velociraptor. See, that's a funny thing. There are people out there.
Reptile on reptile warfare.
Dude, yeah, for sure. Reptile on reptile warfare. That is a shirt. That is a shirt idea. I'm trademarking it. Don't anybody else take it. I'm just going to start making shirt ideas and just throwing them out there. We'll see what sticks.
I'm sorry to have interrupted you there, but
No,
I had
please.
to get that one out before I lost it.
It was beautiful. That's what
strike while
people
iron's
care about.
hot, you know?
Dude, for sure. I respect it. Yeah, man. There are people out there who could like legitimately think they could take on like a velociraptor. They're like, I'm pretty jacked. I could totally take it. As I always think of like our pain thresholds versus like an animal, like a different animal. Like humans are obviously animals, but like think of the last time you stubbed your toe and like how that cripples you. Like animals would be like, yeah, it's not they'd be like, it's fine. You know what I mean? like a velociraptor's like puncturing you all over, and you'd be like, eh! You'd be like immobilized. You wouldn't be like, time to fight back. You'd be done, man. Like,
well, I mean, there is a total difference between humans and animals. I mean, you may be a freaking one of the most in shape humans ever. Freaking Ninja Warrior obstacle course ain't got shit on me, right?
Yep.
But when you compare yourself, like think about like apes, gorillas, chimps, all that stuff. I mean, they are on a different scale to where their pinky finger could pick me up. You know, one arm lift me up by my arm, which is almost unfathomable. I mean, that's just freaking crazy. So there's one category. Even cats, bears. Think of that. So especially cats. Like cats have like. Especially, then this is why big cats I think are pretty frightening. I mean, they have not only the big teeth and all that, and the claws, but their muscles are different. They're lean, high tension, fast twitch muscles. So when they're tussling with you, you're doing all this like kind of slow, trying to grab or get the eyes, while that thing, its muscles are like spasming like crazy, and it's hit you 30 times by the time you've moved your arm around its back. And we're getting really off the beaten path here, but I mean, granted, we don't have dinosaurs alive now, but I mean, along the lines of reptilians, I mean, think of like pythons that can constrict you. Think about that muscular power. Think about a crocodile who, in their own rights, I mean, a crocodile, like the stubbing of your toe example. I mean, you can shoot a crocodile anywhere, and that thing's still probably coming at you or, messing with you.
So raptors, man, dude.
Raptors. Yeah, so pythons against raptors.
You got it, dude. So, like I said, Velocicoaster, let's go. I want to see it. I do. I wanted to bring up the 2-on-1 that I was thinking about originally from Jurassic Park, which was, it's at the very end. It's not very long.
Oh, it's the immediate one that everybody thinks of.
Yeah.
Of course.
It's Alan Grant versus the two raptors. He's got a knife. And he's like, come get me. Yeah, dude, it's sick. No, I love, it's Rexy sneaking in the building and taking out the two raptors pretty quick. It kind of very sneakily doing that first one. You're like, whoa, it's a great moment. The first time you're like, how did you get in here so quietly?
Yeah, no kidding. There was no, no water ripples or thuds.
Yeah, she was like, nope, not today. She's like, this is where the party's at, buddy. Light
as a feather, quick as a bee.
As a bee, dude. That's what they say. Light as a feather, quick as a bee. Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee.
Sting like a bee.
She's like, float like a feather, float like a butterfly.
Never.
Sting like a feather. She's like, I don't know what's up with these humans and their stupid flares, but somebody fired off a rocket launcher a while ago and it just shot off. So I got scared. My gosh.
So I
yeah.
figured I would calm down and come enjoy some exhibits at the museum and the gift shop.
Yeah. She's like,
And
this is my
lo and
place.
behold, there's freaking raptors in here. Pesky little nuisances.
Yeah, she's like, no, this is my new nest, and welcome to it. Yeah, it's pretty quick. I love that kill on the second one. Not that I like the raptors dying, because I do like the raptors, but she like flings it through the skeleton, and it just like crushes it into the steps, and you're like, oh, buddy, that's a pretty rough hit there. You're not coming back from that one. So yeah, that's a good fight. It's quick.
The OG Raptors.
Raptors, man.
They didn't make it very far. So then after that, it was all InGen clones, right? From the stolen embryos or from...
No, they had some on site. They had them on Isla Sorna. That was for like Lost World and stuff, I think. And then I don't know. They're all clones, right? I don't know. The original 3 Raptors, because there was like more than that, but then the new female killed the others or something.
Yep.
They're all females, I should say. But some of them could change. Which ones were the guys? I don't know.
And so the T-Rex from the original Jurassic Park, now we're getting into a Jurassic Park discussion. This is a bad deal. I just need this clarified.
Yeah.
The original T-Rex from Jurassic Park is the same T-Rex at the end of Jurassic World.
Yes, and is in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. And yeah, is there with the Carnotaurus. That's a 2-on-1 fight. They take out that one bad businessman at the very end. They team up for a second and they take him out. It's happy times.
Oh, yeah, that's excellent.
Yeah, and then she goes and roars at a lion because she's just on the warpath. She's like, anything that moves in any direction, I'm gonna kill it.
Yeah. I killed the original 2 Velociraptors.
And the one that people talk about too for Jurassic World is a lot of people I was seeing in the comments for like or Reddit and stuff was saying they didn't like Jurassic World. I like aspects of Jurassic World, and I think that end fight scene is pretty fun where it's like T-Rex versus Indominus Rex with Blue, and Blue's kind of helping out. And then there's a run-in, World Wrestling Federation move where flippin' Mosasaurus comes out of nowhere and gets the kill, and you're like, okay, that was kind of nuts.
Yeah, I don't know. Jurassic World, I think, we saw it plenty of times. I've seen it plenty of times overall, period.
Yeah.
It could have been... It just could have been better. It was too childish in my eyes.
Okay.
It's too childish in my eyes. And I think that end fight deal is kind of the main example of it. I just didn't like it that much, and it had to get a little too flashy. Like, I don't mind like the updated, reopened park, like reimagined, like we can do Jurassic Park.
I like that.
This is the facelift. It was all cool. It was grand. I liked it a lot. I didn't mind that it was kind of a repetition of JP. The problem is that there was nothing intimate about it.
Yeah.
And they had to get this flashy, genetically engineered dinosaur that at the end of the day kind of, it just could have been cooler and a little better. But I didn't like that whole like Blue coming in with the music playing. I'm gonna get you.
I love the run-in, baby, because Blue's like, I'm out of here, and then Blue's like, I'm coming back in. Mosasaurus were like under the water thinking like, I've never tried this before, but if I jump up out of the water, might be able to snag some grub. Like, think if that would have happened while the park was just normal operations and like 4 people just got taken out. You're like,
oh my God, yeah, I didn't even think about that. That could have happened at any time.
It's just so hungry.
Like, yeah, because that Mosasaurus, which is not the scale, by the way, but anyway, there's a show every half hour, and they feed it a shark every half hour. Come on.
That's a lot.
No, they were smaller than that.
Were they smaller?
Say that was, they were like,
That's because it's not a real Mosasaurus, Joe. It's like what Wu says. He's like, we've been messing with the DNA all this time. I felt bad for Indominus
we
Rex.
combined it with that of a whale, a blue whale.
Yeah, I always felt bad for the Indominus. I don't feel like it's its fault for being as problematic as it is. It's all the people it's like, come on, guys. At least for that one, they made a little more sense. It wasn't like it was trying to eat to fill up. It was just killing to kill. Like, it wasn't like it didn't kill like 4 Apatosauruses and then just like eat 4 Apatosauruses and be like, oh my gosh, I couldn't possibly.
No one warned me about this. My guts hurt.
I wasn't designed for this, and then it just goes invisible, camouflages on the field, and lays down. It's like,
It's like, God, I feel so fat and exposed.
I really wish we had some resident artists who listed this who could draw these fat dinosaurs, just super
Oh man,
chunky, just like. Ugh.
I'm
Oh my
probably
gosh!
gonna do it later just
Please,
because it's inspiring. It really
sounds like a
is.
thumbnail to me.
Anywho,
Okay.
yeah, there are certain aspects of Jurassic World I love. There are others that are so downright cheesy, it's embarrassing.
Hmm. We've
Yeah.
already talked.
Anywho,
We also have not only a show on that, but I also think we did a full commentary on that movie. If you guys want to go back and check it out, it's good
very
stuff.
likely, yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
kind of want to watch Fallen Kingdom again sometime soon. I feel like I got to give it another go. Indoraptor,
Yeah, me
baby.
too. Me too. Indoraptor was a little bit better. The thing about that movie, it's much more intimate and it's kind
Yeah.
of, they toted it as it's going to be kind of a horror,
Yeah.
not jump scare, but it's going to be edge of your seat, horror-y, right?
Yeah.
Horror-y?
Horror-ish. Yeah, horror
Yeah, I mean, it
adjacent.
had the vibes of a horror film.
Yeah.
And they did that. They did that. But then some of it was just a little non-plausible. I love the opening cinematic, the whole
Mm.
submarine
I was
scene.
thinking about that
I'm
earlier
like,
too. Oh,
oh,
so good.
yeah.
I want the whole movie to be like that, but that would not be a PG-13 blockbuster movie because it'd be too scary. People would be like, I
Yeah.
can't watch this. Of people getting killed in a thunderstorm. Like we'd be like, oh, it's
Yeah.
great. It's great.
The whole volcano thing, like, yeah, they would open a $1 billion resort on a freaking volcanic island. That's
They
gonna
didn't
blow
know.
up.
They made big
They didn't
mistakes.
know, yeah.
They didn't.
'Cause
They spared expenses. They didn't have Hammond around to say anymore. Even though I will submit this, I love you, Hammond, but you did spare an expense. You didn't pay Nedry enough because if you would have paid one of the two people running your park a little more money, you wouldn't have had any problems. You'd have been like,
That's the whole thing. That's why
Come on,
they
Hammond.
spend so much time on the money aspect with him. And
he needs them. He needs. I would just want to know how much. What was the difference? Like, I want to know what all those people's lives actually cost. Like, I want. Is Nedry asking for like $20,000 more, $2,000 more, maybe some more paid vacation? I was just. It's so. I want to know. Like, I'm like,
Take it.
Hammond.
Take it.
I want to know because like Hammond's like, no man, you're not getting that money. Get back to work. And he's like, but you're also one of the people that is running security, and there's only two people who are running like internet
He
security
also
here.
acted. Yeah, he also acted like he was like a contractor, like he was contracted. He said, "Who else are you going to get to come in and program all these things and debug the whatever?" And he
Dude,
made
for
it sound
sure.
like he was like an outsourced contractor or consultant type deal that
Yeah.
came in to do that. But
He made himself sound
anyway,
invaluable.
whatever.
Dude, 2-on-1. Samuel Jackson and John Hammond fighting against Nedry, dude.
Pound
Please!
for pound.
Dude, I just want to know how that raptor got Samuel Jackson's arm to prop up in a corner or behind those pipes and fall on Ellie when she backed into it. I need to know the logistics, Mr. Spielberg, of that fight scene. I just want to know. I just want to
Spoiler
know.
alert. Wait, no, it's not a spoiler alert, but fun fact Samuel Jackson was actually supposed to fly to Hawaii to film that scene, and he ended up not being able to because of a tropical storm that rolled through, and he couldn't get to the island. So they actually had to create prop body parts for Sam Jackson and film that sequence. And I think he got to keep the arm or something like that.
Dang, I didn't know. That's so cool. Is that the same storm that, like, I think Spielberg flew out of? Like, there was like there's this historical tropical storm that came through, and he, like, a pilot flew them out pretty late in the day to get past that. And he, like, sent him, there's like a signed autograph or something about it in, like, the Jock Lindsay hangar bar down at Disney Springs, which seems really weird because it's like, that's a Universal thing, but it was like, because the pilot maybe was the guy who played Jock. I don't know. I'm just saying things,
Whoa.
but really, there's a whole story there. There's a story there. But cool,
Cool.
I didn't know that, Joe. That makes way more sense because I've always wondered about that because people, like, he just goes. Arnold is just gone in that movie, and you're like, what happened to him?
Yeah,
It's like,
there
oh, he's
would have
dead.
been something to fill that void if he
Yeah.
would have been able to get there. But
Spielberg, I'm sorry. It's me, not you, man. You're great. I love your work. It's so, dude, watch Saving Private Ryan, everybody. It'll shake you, man. Oh, it's good. Anyway, so Jurassic Park, Jurassic World, a couple of good 2-on-1s there. Joe, you kind of teased them earlier. Maybe now is the time. We're talking Marvel and or DC. Which one did you want to talk about first? Because I think I know the ones you're referring to.
yeah, I'm trying to think. It's kind of a toss up between the two, which one's better.
Oh,
But I think one has a bigger impact. It
Okay.
means more.
Sure.
So I'm going to save that one to the end.
Okay, good. I know what
So
you're
let's
talking
hit
about.
on Man of Steel from DC.
Dude,
Man of Steel.
poor
What are we
Smallville, right?
talking about, Jimmy? What scene are we talking about? Break
We're
it down
talking
for
about,
me.
so not the one that a lot of people like, good old Clark versus Zod, which I think is one of my favorite one-on-one fights. I have a video in the works up here about that fight and another fight. But the one, I don't know why Joey talked about this. I never think of Smallville in the movie Man of Steel as that's the town they're fighting in. Clearly it is, but I think after watching the show Smallville, I just have like a little bit of a different picture in my mind. But there's like a water
For
tower
sure.
that says it. But it's when good old Superman faces the two Kryptonians that show up and have also gotten a bit jacked under that yellow sun. And they decide to throw down in the town while the military's kind of in the background. What a brutal fight. Really fun fight. I looked over it a lot for this Hyperion video I made a while ago about Marvel's own version of Superman. And so I kind of got to look at the fight a lot. And man, it is just, there's like a lot of great moments. There's like a moment where Superman tries to fly away and the big burly Kryptonian like grabs his cape, I think, and like slams him back down. And they do like a lot of combo attacks on Superman. And you can tell that like they kind of feel these hits but don't. It's just Smallville feeling the hits because like their roads getting destroyed, buildings are getting just like everything's blowing up, and I love that. I know people don't like Man of Steel for that, but it's realistic. Like that's what would happen if these people existed and they were fighting. It wouldn't be like they're just walking on the street and they kind of punch each other and it's like, oh, that's a big hit. It'd be like, no, they shattered all the windows. Like, it'd be like, whoa.
Force, weight.
Yeah,
Physics.
exactly. I love it too, and I love that they also take on the military a little bit once in a while too. Like they'll just kind of like I forget the lady's name, but she'll just kind of jump up and like destroy a jet or a helicopter like it's nothing.
Yeah, she like jumped and smashed into the cockpit of that A-10 Warthog. I mean,
Dude, it's just so like
that's kind of cool.
that whole fight though
Man of
between
Steel holds up.
Dude, yeah, I want to go back, man. I love that fight because it's like Clark's telling people to go inside. He's like get inside, but even he's kind of like,
And then
we're all.
boom, he
it's
gets
like,
hit. Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
lock your doors. I guess it's not really gonna matter, but yeah.
At what point
that's
doesn't
good.
the big one get a train? Like he grabs a train and runs it into Clark.
So what he
something, or
does
something?
is they fight. I think Clark. They fly up into the air all together, and he throws him into like a train, like a rail station, like a train yard. And the guy he grabs one of like the rail cars, and he just chucks it at him, and then it goes like flying, and it hits him. And I think that's when he gets smashed into the like the bank or whatever that other shop or store is, or like a Sears or something.
Yeah, of course, the Sears.
Yeah, there's a lot of product placement in this one. There's like an IHOP that gets trashed because they start the fight where he fights Zod, and then Zod loses it because of all of his senses like having to keep up, and so Zod's not part of that
cracked
fight.
helmet.
Yeah, but man, I really like that fight, man. It's brutal. There's a lot of just like smackdown, drag out in the street and we got to see, that was the first time I remember seeing Superman fight to that potential, because I had seen little, blips of Smallville. I've seen other things, but it was never like this, and it felt like, wow, like this is what these people are capable of, and it's fun. It's a cool fight scene. I just feel really bad for Smallville because they didn't have a lot to begin with, but then after this, it's just like they just got wrecked. It's just like
Ruined. Industry, none. Jobs, none.
Yeah.
People dead, a lot.
Lots of people. There's like gas stations exploding and stuff, and you're like, oh my gosh. Well, that's when. Well, I should say the beginning of the fight is maybe one of my favorites because I totally get it. Because Zod is threatening Clark's mother, Martha, and Superman comes out of nowhere and he's like, stay away from my mother. Like, I'm like, dude, I totally get it. I'd be full tilt. I'd be like, I'm gonna kill
when he
everybody.
came running in and he takes him through the cornfield and just, you can threaten my mother, and he's just like repeatedly just whacking him in the face and running him through the freaking ground.
It's great. Then he runs into his old chum from Smallville, like who's like at the IHOP as a manager. And he's
he's a manager, Pete.
Yeah.
Oh God, what was Pete's last name?
I don't know. Is
Pete
that
Ross?
Pete Ross was different in Smallville because he's all about the stride gum, baby.
Oh God, one of the worst.
I'll never forget it. I love it, dude. Stride gum. It's really minor product placement.
I can hang with you now, Clark. And
we have the same powers or whatever. Like, no, dude, you're not the same. Yeah, but anyway, if you've never seen Man of Steel before, I would recommend going to check out at least that fight because I think it's just fun and entertaining in a way that like the Zod fight. I love the Zod fight too, but that one's more like how crazy could these two guys go if they went as like crazy as they possibly could. But this one is very, very destructive, very fun. Again, not accounting for the loss of life that obviously does happen in this. Like they're going through buildings and stuff, and it's also fun to watch. Huh?
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, the last thing I want to say about it, all of the Kryptonians, the nice thing about them, they're all warriors. So if they're warriors who then got those powers, yeah, they'll probably beat up Clark for a while because he's not like a trained soldier. But it's like a trained soldier who can also jump an infinite height and like get smashed through multiple buildings and be like, that's fine. It's like...
Yeah, like Clark is... Yeah, you're right. No combat experience or anything. He's just used to being able to handle anything because he's stronger and more resilient, and stronger than anything on the planet. Boom. But what I was going to say that I like about that, beyond the fact of the the immersiveness and the action-packed sequences and the way it's all done and the interaction, again, kind of Godzilla-esque with the whole physical interaction with the environment and the destruction of it. It's kind of cool that way. But I also like that he's fighting, the two people he's pitted against are, like you said, trained Kryptonian soldiers, very aesthetically pleasing with their cool Kryptonian suits. And then they have the kind of, what would you call it? It was kind of like a biomechanical shield helmet that comes over, because everything they had seemed like it was semi-biomechanical-esque in a way. That's kind of Kryptonian technology. There's kind of a biological aspect to it.
Yeah, there's like this. It's like a membrane for Zod and the female Kryptonian, but then like the big hulking guy's got like a full-on like H.R. Geiger metal helmet. That's got like a tube coming out of it or something. And
yeah, he's a little more like
he's more video game character.
No, the guy in X-Men, Juggernaut.
Dude, yeah, he's like he fights just like you would think the Juggernaut probably would if Juggernaut could jump a lot, which maybe in the comics he really can. But I just like that fight. It's also cool to give him somebody else to fight besides the main villain for a little bit, because that fight's coming, and you're like, what other fight can you do in here that's going to be interesting? And then the military gets involved, and they're kind of just like a third party that should... It's like, you guys got to get out of here. They're going to kill everybody. But they try their best. Yeah, I love that fight. I think it's really fun, and it's probably one of my favorite fights in all the DC stuff they've made so far.
Yeah, it's something that helped that film a lot. It was weird, like especially the moment where he goes after Zod and he's punching him through the field. I remember we saw that movie together, and we were in the moving seats for that one, right?
Yes, that was the D-Box.
The D-Box seats.
The D-Box, baby.
Dude, that movie made the D-Box seats worth the extra money, because when they were doing that sequence of the punching, the seats did this every lunge that he did, and I was like, whoa. Yeah.
I remember that when they were in the air in the final fight, when he did like from the trailers, where it is like he kind of punches him and he kind of goes back a little bit and then he flies forward and punches him again. They probably did it for both, because I also remember early in the movie, like there's a shot of a ship or something and the seats like started to tip forward, and I'm like, I'm gonna fall out of this seat right now for I don't know why. Like it was just like burn, and I was like, oh no.
The whole D-Box seat thing, I think, is kind of I like it for certain movies. Yeah, I would pay extra for that all the time. I think it's really cool.
It's a cool thing. I have a quick update, Joe. I looked something up very nonchalantly, I might add. So this is from allears.net. I know them. They're pretty nice folks. They do a lot of Disney parks content and things like this, and this is on their website. But this is down at the Jock Lindsey Hangar Bar. Get this. So Jock Lindsey, he was actually a pilot named Fred Sorensen, all right? So he worked with Spielberg, right, on Raiders and stuff. And it says here later on, when filming Jurassic Park in Hawaii, a huge hurricane hit the island of Kauai. No flights were going out during the aftermath, and the crew was literally stranded. Spielberg called up Sorensen, and he flew out to rescue the team. When Jock Lindsey's hangar bar opened, Steven Spielberg personally sent this dinosaur tooth with a note that reads, "Jock, thanks for getting us off the island. SS." It hangs behind the outside bar. So Steven Spielberg sent him this tooth. You see that right there? It's like I don't know if it's probably fake, but that's cool that but again, it's Jock Lindsey, but it's the guy who in real life who played Jock Lindsey, and he gets this thing from Spielberg for a Universal movie that's hanging, like, so a piece of like Universal history is in Disney. That blows my mind. Like, I don't know. It's pretty cool.
No, what's Jock Lindsey from?
Jock Lindsey, he is the pilot at the very beginning of Raiders of the Lost Ark, where Indy says, he's like, there's a snake in the plane, Jock, and he's like, oh yeah, that's Reggie. And it's like, why do you have a flipping snake in your plane? It's to show that Indy hates snakes, right? But yeah, he's the one that saves them from the natives attacking down in Central America or wherever they are. So, yep, good old Jock. That's like, I think the only time you ever see him in there, but pretty good stuff. Anyway, Joe, there was one more it sounded like you wanted to get to here.
Bro.
Emotions. Something I thought they weren't going to do, even though the trailers probably told me otherwise. But I think I know which one you're talking about.
Captain America Civil War.
Is there a more heartbreaking fight? I don't know.
I don't think so. No.
Did you want to start on this, or should I?
I think you should do the honors. Go for it.
So I was thinking about this, and the first one that came to mind is the 3-on-1 fight, but that one doesn't count, with Thanos in Endgame. But this fight was a fight that I wasn't sure was going to happen or hold as much meaning, because I thought for sure, and I love Marvel, but I thought for sure they were just going to take the kind of straightforward path, and they're like, hey, we've got like 6 super soldiers, that Hydra has trained, and we're going to get them out of cryo, and Zemo's going to have them fight, Cap, Iron Man, and Bucky. And it's going to be a pretty good fight, but, good guys are going to kill them, and it's going to be, the day's over. But you show up at this place, Zemo has, executed all of these guys, and he basically just lures them into fighting each other. And man, oh man, it's the perfect ending to that movie, because the Russos even said, yeah, we weren't going to top the airport fight, which is probably one of the best MCU fights. I still posit it might be the best MCU fight, because it's fun and interesting, and there's a lot going on. They're also trying not to kill each other, right? But this fight, there's definitely people trying to kill each other. And someone said it really well on Reddit. I didn't pick this up before, but they said that you can actually see in this fight, when it's Iron Man versus Cap and Bucky, that Iron Man is legitimately trying to kill Bucky. He's not trying to kill Steve. And Bucky is trying to kind of fight for his life, and Steve is only really trying to protect Bucky while they're fighting, especially in the beginning, because there's a lot of Iron Man has not programmed his computers to fight his friends. If it were Batman, I would not be surprised if he'd be like, pull up the Kal-El or pull up the Clark, AI or the patterns we've devised here. But this Iron Man suit having to learn in the fight and to fight Cap. But man, what a fight. Just Bucky, there's a few moments where Bucky's trying to rip out the arc reactor on Iron Man, and he's just yelling, and then Iron Man just blows his arm off. Cap, that comic cover where, Cap kind of blocks the shot from the repulsors, and they kind of do that slow motion shot where they're kind of killing each other while Zemo is talking about this to Black Panther, to T'Challa outside. It's an emotional fight, and it's so sad to see these guys come to blows. But if you go back to that first Avengers, it's like it was always going to happen. Cap and Iron Man has had a grudge against Cap before Cap knew about him at all, which is so great. There's always just this kind of just one of these days, buddy, you're going to flip and trip up, and I'm going to beat you senseless. But man, I love that fight. I love how it ends. It's just so good, man. It's great. It's brutal. That whole movie's brutal. It's good.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, Iron Man is such a complex character. I mean, you can't give him too much credit, but he deserves almost all the credit. That guy, I mean, the MCU without Iron Man 1 is...
it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist.
Yeah. What they did there, and it's not an overly complex movie. It's fairly simple, but I mean, that first step on that staircase of Marvel, she's a doozy and a good one. It's pretty impressive. The thing about it, they picked the right character to start with.
Yeah.
Iron Man is captivating to everybody, kids, people in their middle ages. I mean, it's a broad-reaching appeal. I think for me personally, it's like the fact that it's for some reason, it seems like a more practical superhero, right?
Sure.
You can actually visualize, if I had the technology, I was in the suit, I could do the things, and
Yeah.
I that's cool, and there's an aesthetic there as well. That suit and everything, and the way it functions, and that style, it is just it's a gravitating force,
Yeah.
right? You can't help but not like it and think, man, if I had that suit. And they do little things like when he first creates a suit and he gets it painted up and it's ready to go.
Yeah.
He goes over and to just take out this terrorist cell that's got some civilians hostage or whatever. I mean, he just kind of like they do such a good job in invoking emotion in the audience, and him just lands and then just nonchalant just takes care of everything and then flies away. That's like a goosebumpy moment because let's face it, when you watch superhero movies, yeah, there's multiple types of appreciation for them, but I think what really captivates an audience is the fact of you can relate.
Oh, yeah.
You picture yourself in those shoes. Every movies do that to us. It doesn't matter if it's a superhero film, Mission Impossible, all sorts, even rom-coms.
Yeah.
You always like to put yourself in those shoes. You're imagining if it were me. We do it when we read books. It's all the same thing. So, and I think superhero movies accentuate that a little more. If it's if it's an Avengers film where it's all of them together, you're picking out your favorite one, and that would be me. I would be doing this, and you're always thinking that. And I forgot where I was going with this, but I was gushing over Iron Man. But with those moments, and like that moment where he kind of perfects the suit or close to it, and he goes over east and he takes out that little cell, and then all nonchalant, and you get that goosebumpy moment. That was a moment of attachment for everybody. I mean, everybody's just like, whoa, like it was cool. And not to mention, you have the other side of it. You have the Iron Man aspect in the suit, which helped to create Iron Man. But then you have Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark.
Yeah.
Excellent, right? Excellent. And he's not perfect. He's very flawed. Very flawed, right? Which makes it's the perfect storm. It's the perfect recipe. You mixed it to perfection, the right ratios. And boy, you are going to have one hell of a batch of cookies.
Yeah.
And they did it. And then they kept building upon that. And then so having started with Iron Man, I kind of remember where I was going with this. Long-winded, but worth it. That character development, I don't think there's any character in the MCU that you can be more attached to, regardless of whether you want to admit it or not. He's the flagship. He's what started it all, I know it's true for me. I mean, I really admired him as a character. I appreciated him in every film I saw, MCU related, and to have that moment of him conflicting with the other OG, if you will, layman's terms, whatever. But I think in a way, Captain America embodies a lot of those same things.
Yeah.
And a very similar stature. And that's why they're kind of the two mains pitted against each other in this situation, right? So that creates such an impactful moment that the two primary characters that I think if you started on day one with the MCU, it makes it like, wow, these two are tussling, right?
Yeah.
And it makes it an emotional, like, wow, would you ever see these two fight each other? And you kind of look for the details of is one of them holding back on the other, and you kind of talk through that, Jimmy, which I think was good. But yeah, so I think the fact of who's involved in that fight, I mean, that's just a cherry on the top of that film. I think the airport scene is great in its own right.
Yeah.
Excuse me. But the airport scene, no one's there to kill anybody, although they accidentally paralyze freaking War Machine. But
Dang it, Vision, what are you doing?
Damn Vision, yeah.
Keep it together, man.
Keep it together.
Keep it together, man. Yeah.
Then you take it from that kind of broad scale, kind of almost silly, like, let's ruin this airport in Germany.
Sure.
Like, shame on all of you, but it's cool, right? It's a spectacle. It's like, wow, and there's a lot going on, like you say. So it makes it one of the greatest fights you've ever seen. But then you take it from that note to, which somehow you associate with being a little less serious, to now Iron Man wants to basically kill Bucky, who everybody kind of comes around on and starts to appreciate. They realize that he's been kind of a used and abused person, and he doesn't mean to be, or he didn't mean to be what he was. It wasn't him personally doing these things, right? So you kind of identify with him a little bit, or have some sympathy towards him as a character. No one thinks, yeah, you should just axe the dude, right? Yeah, so I mean, that trifecta, I think, is a good formula for probably, I would wager to bet it's probably the most impactful 2-on-1 fight of all time.
Yeah.
I don't know. Name a better one.
I can't think of one.
If you're not an MCU fan, maybe you'll come up with something.
Sure.
I get it. There are ones out there, I'm sure, but I think if anybody's an actual fan of the MCU, it's really hard to put something above that or on top of that.
Yeah.
I would say.
Totally. Well, it's like, when you're talking about this, I was thinking too, I think logistically they put it in a bunker, because then you make it so that way Iron Man can't fly around and have that advantage. But you also look at the arcs of these characters too, on top of just the logistics of it, where you get Iron Man in the beginning, in the first Avengers, or even the first Iron Man, he's like kind of anti-government, especially in Iron Man 2. He's like, and now he's like fighting for the government. And Steve used to be a straight up Boy Scout. Winter Soldier made him think about things differently. And now he's not really sure. He's going to go against everything he has known or believed in, and he's going to go and try to save his friend. And it's funny because, like, regardless of where you fall, if you agree with Iron Man or Cap in that movie, I'm more of a Cap guy, and I think it's also Captain America: Civil War, so they maybe try to paint it more in his favor. But the moment, and again, I care about my mom. That's how they get to me, the emotional swing. I was thinking, you know what? If I were Iron Man in this moment, and I looked at one of my closest friends, who I thought was a close friend, and I was like, did you know that, like, your best friend killed my mom? And he, like, Steve's like, he's like, I don't, like, how is Steve supposed to answer that? And that's right at that moment where, Iron Man is going to fall back in those faults and flaws and be like, I don't really care about any of this anymore. He killed my mom, and I'm going to kill him. It's like, it's just such an easy, like, in the moment thing to get swept up in and throw away all the politics, right? You also muted yourself, by the way, just so you know. Joe's like, I got these points.
Somebody had to cut me off, all right? It might as well be myself. No, I it's too relatable, right? I mean, it's easy. Like, I think anybody in the heat of the moment is gonna make that poor decision, and like, I'm gonna freaking off him right here.
Yeah,
no one's stopping me.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, then you cool off about it. I mean, it happened so long ago. You realize that he wasn't in control of that action and all that stuff. I mean, really, he was a puppet.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's weird. It's like a reverse moment from, like, Batman vs Superman, where the mom thing is what stops the fight. And in both scenarios, I think there are ways where, like, Batman and Iron Man would have this knowledge prior to that. Like, Batman, it would have been so great if Batman's like, yeah, dude, I know who your parents are, and just like ran him through, and he's like, what? Like, he's like, yeah, guess what? Martha's a pretty common name around here. But yeah, it wouldn't have been as good if Tony would have been like, yeah, I kind of figured he probably killed my mom. That really pisses me off, but I want to still keep the team together. The one thing that bothers me, Joe, in the future, mostly with Endgame, is I wanted that moment that those two came back together to be like a fight moment. I didn't want it to be like a Tony is kind of limping off a ship moment and he's angry and, acerbic. I wanted it to be like they met on the battlefield and it was like, oh, they're back together again. Like they're fighting, they're doing their combos like in Avengers 1 with the repulsors and the shield. And I wanted that, but that's okay. It didn't, it's with Thanos maybe later. Anyway, but yes, I agree with you. Best 2-on-1 fight, maybe most impactful, I should say. We should say that. Not best, but maybe most emotionally impactful. Still lots of great hits, lots of some blood and stuff. Shield right into the arc reactor. Freaking great. That shield doesn't belong to you. So good. Yeah, and Tony with all his resentment towards Steve being the favorite, in his father's eyes. But yeah, if you have some favorite 2-on-1 fights, please leave them down in the comments. Or if you're listening to this, tweet them at us because I would love to hear more about them. Like I said, there's a few movies we haven't seen. There might be a few we've forgotten. Like we talked about a few 1-on-1 fights here today that we forgot to mention last time. Another one, which might be one versus many, but I wanted to say with the 1-on-1 fights because on technical level, it's 1-on-1, is good old Neo fighting Agent Smith in Matrix Reloaded, where he fights a bunch of Agent Smiths, but it's just the one Agent Smith. But it's a pretty crazy fight scene. So maybe we'll bring that back up in the future. The Matrix, man. I forgot to talk about that one. Just Neo versus Agent Smith in the first one. He does that thing where he almost hits him and then he hits him like this with his fingers and it chokes the agent because I don't know how machines. I guess he's in a human body, but he's like, oh, like that. It's like, oh, that's a good move, dude. That's a great move. Also,
haven't seen, or it's been a long time since I've seen the Matrix. I've seen it,
dude, we got to get caught up for Matrix 4 coming to HBO Max in December, dude. Who knows what that's going to be about? Keanu, man. Whatever Keanu's in nowadays, I'm like, I'm in. Let's go. I'm always amazed in movies like that. And it's like, he's like, you're out of bullets. And he's like, so are you or whatever. I'm like, how do you guys keep track of that middle of the fight? I would never be able to keep track of someone shooting at me and I'd be like, 1, 2, 3, 4. I feel like they've missed this many times. They've got 4 left. I don't know. I think about that. That's why Pirates is so great, Joe. He's got 1 bullet. You don't have to think about it. It's not like he's got like 20 or something. It's not like he's a Gatling gun at Barbossa, just which also would have been pretty sick. Anyway, Joe, are there any other 2-on-1 fights you want to talk about before we wrap it up for this evening?
Ooh, I think we covered some pretty major ones. I'm sure there are plenty of others, but we can't cover them all or we'd be here forever.
That's true.
I know everybody will love that if I would drone on for days, but
I love it. I enjoy it. That's why I keep asking you to be on the show. At least somebody will be on the show with me. Like I appreciate it.
I think we hit some good ones, Jimmy.
Yeah. We definitely did, for sure, Z's. Yeah, totally. All right, Joe. Well, you know what that means. It's time to move on to the next segment of the show. That I like to call, that you like to call, that we all like to... Joe. Joe. Do you hear that?
Huh?
Joe, 3 doors. They've just appeared in my room.
Oh, God.
And guess what? They're here for you. And they're all painted... They're all painted green, Joe. They're all painted green for St. Patrick's Day.
Here I was just clawing for the mic about the Scream Time Killers.
I'm getting good with my setups. You never know when I'm going to do them now. That's acting, baby. Acting. I'm an actor. If I keep saying it, does that make it true? I'm a billionaire. No, that's not. Anyway, Joe. That's right, they're here for you. Are you ready for another round of Mystery Villain Date?
Yeah, I do like I like me some villains.
He likes him some villains. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you are new to Mystery Villain Date, it's a little bit of a reoccurring segment I do once in a while. I try not to do every week. I thought about doing this last week with Bruce and Connie, Joe, but I really didn't want to freak them out and also go way over time with a game that they didn't know they were about to play. Can you stay on for another 20 minutes? I've got a game that I put together for you. But anyway, if you've never played Mystery Villain Date, basically I'm going to give you a little bit of a synopsis, some information about a mystery villain, and you try to guess at home which one I'm talking about. some pop culture and stuff like that. But also, you get to pick which mystery villain date you're going to go on a date with, Joe. And you're going to get a special date. And some of these dates, man, are great. Some of them not so much. I wish I made up the rules, but I'm just a humble host. So that's just how we do it. So are you ready?
As I said in previous episodes, ready as I'll ever be.
All right, here we go. Our first contestant is something of a self-made sadist. He's spent a lot of time trying to bring down one of New York's most spectacular heroes. Billionaire by day and flying demon by night, our mystery man definitely has the funds to continue his hobby of murder and destruction. His arsenal is highly advanced with a weapon for every occasion. On top of that, a serum has also bolstered his physical attributes at the cost of his sanity. Here's the quote he provided us. Do you know how much I've sacrificed? Who is our mystery villain?
Norman Osborn, Green Goblin.
That's correct! And, Joe, if you do choose Green Goblin, Norman Osborn, he says he will give you a brief tour of Oscorp before a night out on the town hunting Spider-Man. Pretty fun.
Tantalizing is like
Tantalizing indeed.
all I can think of is Willem Dafoe. I'm like, ew.
Love Willem Dafoe. Oh my gosh. Boondock Saints, man. Anyway, our next contestant is a little more of an enigma. Favoring mind over might, he tends to toy with his victims by proposing unique questions. He sports a bowler's cap, a nice suit, and a cane for defending himself should his opponents overcome his dastardly pop quizzes. While many of his previous works would serve as great quotes, this is the one he provided this evening. Riddle me this, riddle me that. Who's afraid of the big black bat? Who is our mystery villain? Please say his name. He'll kill us all.
It's the Riddler.
That's correct! This one's a little more on the nose, I know. If chosen, he will allow you to help him craft his next set of riddles. That's all he said. It's not...
So he's going to take me to work.
Yeah, he's going to put you to work. I'm so sorry about that. I mean, it's everyone's going to have fun. Please don't...
When was he... what movie was he in? Which Batman movie was he in?
He's in Batman Forever with Jim Carrey, I believe.
Jim Carrey played
I just watched that. Yeah, Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey did a trifecta of wearing green. It was that, The Mask, and obviously The Grinch. My favorite of those. The Grinch is just, what a character.
The Grinch is, that one will never...
So good. So good.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Great.
Joe, have you noticed a little bit of a trend here? We had the Green Goblin, and then we had the Riddler. And now for our final contestant tonight. He's quite the powerhouse. Hailing from a country that he himself rules, this mystery man always has a diplomatic immunity card to play when he visits the United States. Combining both his crazy intellect and his penchant for magic in tandem with technology, he's often prepared for what life throws his way. He began his career fighting against Marvel's first family, but is now seen as a threat to the entire world if he gets upset. However, some would call him a savior. I'm not here to judge. The quote he provides is as follows. This world is mine to rule, and mine alone. These reptiles may not have it. Who is our mystery villain? If he gets it wrong, the show's over. The entire show, the Critical Podcast, is gone forever.
Went after Marvel's first family.
Yep.
He has diplomatic immunity whenever he travels to the United States.
Oh yeah, he's just a special boy. If he hears me whispering, he's not gonna be happy.
You're gonna have to help me out on this one, Jimmy.
What is your answer? Magic and technology.
But he wants to rule the world.
He wants to rule. Everybody does. Everybody wants to rule the world, but he most of all wants to do it. Yep, he does.
You
can do this.
No, Jimmy, if we're not gonna die here, I'm gonna need another hint.
You got. I have given you everything I am allowed to give it this time. He's here. The door's opening.
At first I thought it was Black Panther, but he's a villain.
You keep giving him softballs, and one of these days you pitch a fastball, and he doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know what to do with this.
Yeah, but what's with the diplomatic immunity parts?
Yeah, he hails from another country.
Marvel went against their first family. First family. First family. For the Fantastic Four. Fantastic Four. This is the Silver Surfer for sure.
Is that your final answer?
No. But is it diplomatic? Something or other. It's not. It's not Doctor Doom because he's from the U.S.
Is Doctor Doom your final answer?
It is. It's my final answer.
That's correct.
No. Dude, you threw me. What's my date?
That's an excellent question. He says if chosen, he promises a tour of his home country of Latveria and for the chance to serve him forever. Oh.
Dr. Doom, Latveria? What?
Yes, Dr. Doom presides over a country of his own known as Latveria, a fictional country found in maybe Europe. That's why he has diplomatic immunity and will not be arrested by the police here in the United States if he does bad things, because he's the ruler. A benevolent one, for sure.
In the Fantastic Four movies, he was just, he lived in a penthouse in New York or something, didn't he?
Yeah, there's a guy that he kills in the first one, and he's like, maybe you should go back home to the home country, to Latveria, or whatever, you know, and then he lightnings him through the chest. Yeah, so technically, I understand where you would think Doctor Doom is from the U.S., because in the 3 movies we've gotten so far, well, I guess there's been 4, he's normally seen that way, but yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry, that whole from a different country diplomatic thing threw me. The date I'm choosing is definitely Green Goblin, and I'm gonna go hunt me some spider.
Dude, fantastic. Well, excellent. So, congratulations, Green Goblin. He found you. You'll have to. He picked you. Oh my gosh. Oh wait. All of them are fighting. The Riddler's already dead. He tried to riddle Doctor Doom. Doctor Doom snapped him out of existence. And Green Goblin and Doctor Doom are now talking. I think they're teaming up. It's pretty sick. It's good for that. I thought Marvel's First Family would be too much of a dead giveaway, because I think that's what they call the Fantastic Four. I was gonna show you my old Fantastic Four tin up on the wall here, Joe. I was gonna be like, look at that up there. Oh my gosh. But yeah. Sorry about that. I did not mean to make it hard. But all green coated villains, right? Kind of fun. St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, St. Patty's Day theme. Yeah. Gosh, I was thinking, is it Loki? No, the technology.
I thought about doing Loki, but I was like, Dr. Doom. Also, Dr. Doom's one of my favorites. I think he's coming up. I'm excited to see what they cast for Dr. Doom. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Great job. I hope everybody enjoyed playing Mystery Villain Date. If you did play at home, let us know how many that you got correct. And if you didn't get one correct, please let us know, because they will be coming to your house. I don't know. I don't make up the rules. They just said they will be angry if they are not acknowledged by everybody. The 3 we have this week are very ego-driven folk. Yeah. Side note, apparently there was one time when Doctor Doom wielded 2 Infinity Gauntlets and was going to make 2 new universes, one of which he was going to rule over, but then he decided that godhood was beneath him, and he turned it all down. And I was like, what? It's like, no, that's a pretty big ego to be like, he's like, being a god's too simple. I'd rather just be me. And it's like, okay. Also, the reason I said the savior thing, there's one time when, like, I think it's Vosh or Bosch, the Panther god from, like, Wakanda, judged Doctor Doom, like, to see if he was, like, a good guy or a bad guy, and he was deemed as, like, an actual good person. So it depends on who you talk to. If you live in Latveria, you love Victor Von Doom. Anywhere else, maybe not so much. You're like, that guy's nuts. Yeah.
I just kind of liked that. I like that Christian.
Oh, yeah, he's great. I almost said Slater, but that's not it.
No, I forget his last name. Like Mikhail.
Yeah, the guy who played him in the ones with Jessica Alba and Chris Evans, right?
Yeah, I think he
great.
was a good Doctor Doom.
He's so spot on. You're like, you totally buy it. You're like, yep, that's good. Yeah, I like him a lot. I think he's really good. Anyway, Joe, now it's time to move into that segment of the show that I like to call, that you like to call, that we all like to call.
I got all worked up before. I won't do it again.
Time Killers. That's right. It's time for Time Killers. I'll get worked up. It's the games we've been playing, the movies we've been watching, TV shows we've been viewing. Joe, what you been killing time with there, pal? I know I said it like that. I did.
I haven't been killing time with a whole heck of a lot.
Oh, really? That's okay.
I really haven't. Yeah, I honestly, I got nothing.
Okay.
I got literally nothing.
That makes it easier for me. As I said before the show, I picked up watching Titans because we were watching it together for a while. And then you kind of went radio silent on it, and there was Deathstroke in the future, and my hands were tied, and I was like, I got to see how this goes.
I can't wait any longer.
I couldn't wait any longer. I just don't get a lot of shots at live action Deathstroke. The last few times I've had it were like in Arrow, and he's pretty good in Arrow. I like Manu Bennett, but I might like this incarnation more, but I also think it's because they put more money and time into the outfit. He looks really dope. There's been a few times where he's like stabbed somebody and you can tell it's like a CG sword though. And I'm like, there was a pretty cool montage though where he basically takes out all the people involved in like a trial, and like not just the prisoners but like the judge and stuff too. He like wipes everybody out, and it's like, and there's a lot of scenes of like a hallway has been like people are completely massacred, and he's not even there anymore, but you know he did it. So they build up a lot of stuff in your mind where you're like, he's taking people down where you don't see it, and you're like, oh, he beat this person up, and that person's really good at fighting, and you're like, well, I guess not. So I'm really looking forward to finding out more about it and kind of seeing the reason why Slade hates the Titans, because I know in the comics, and I think this one's trying to be more comic accurate, the Titans had dealings with his son, and that went south, and then Slade got angry, and that's where their rivalry started from. And I loved the Teen Titans as a show growing up, and in that show, Slade just has like a weird fascination with the Titans, and he kind of wants to take over the world. He's more Doctor Doom in that one. So I was always like, why is he so like... It's like people used to theorize that it was Batman, and I was like, no, it's not Batman. Like, why would Bruce Wayne like follow Robin and like freaking mess with him? He's like, you can't leave me, Robin. He's like, I'm gonna find you and your friends, and I'm gonna make your life horrible. It's like, whoa. But yeah, so I love Deathstroke. This was a drawing done or a painting done by an old friend of ours of the show, Anna. So I just not enough Deathstroke. But anyway, Titans. I like season 2 more than season 1, probably just because more Deathstroke. It's kind of what gets me in the door, to be honest with you. Also, I tried out a new game on Xbox Games Pass, Ace Combat 7, Skies Unknown. It's crazy, Joe. I think you'd like it. It feels a little similar to like Star Wars Squadrons. It's a flight simulator game, but it's like a flight dogfighting game. And here's the fun thing. It's like in a fictional world, but all of the jets, I think, are like actually real jets because I know the names of some of them. And I was like, so it's a fictional world, but it's like I'm still flying an F-16 Falcon. Like, I'm like, okay, like I get it. Really? Yeah, but it's pretty sweet. And I was like, this is a pretty cool game. And that's on Games Pass. I'm just trying to kind of, get my feet wet while I've got the Games Pass for a little while longer. And also Outriders coming day 1 on Game Pass for people who have it. So if anybody's like, I don't think I'd buy that game, and you have Xbox Game Pass, well, you can try it as part of the Game Pass subscription, which is pretty nuts.
I
So,
think I'm gonna buy it because I can see what comes end game and it looks better.
sure.
Or I gotta keep it. I gotta keep it contained that this is only a demo. The demo's okay in its own right.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't even want to
so
hear
yeah,
from
I'm,
you.
I'm pretty confident I'll get it.
You had a legendary gun. I was grinding it out the other day because I was like Levi wanted to play the demo, and I was playing with this other guy. Shout out to I think his name was Juan Carito, or something like that. The guy Joe had 3 legendary weapons. His 2
Oh my
mains
gosh!
and his pistols he got while we were farming this one captain. And I was like, you have all, I was like, and maybe not all of them. He didn't have all the ones from the demo, but he had 3. And I was like, I was like, he knew when he showed up, Joe, he knew what I was doing. And he knew, like, I didn't have to talk to him. We just knew to kill the captain and then died. And we just kept doing it. And then eventually I had to leave him. And I'm like, I'm sorry, buddy. But I gave him a thumbs up before I left. So, like, in the game. And then also there's like a little rating system. And I was like, thumbs
That's
up, buddy.
cool.
And then, so,
That's cool.
yeah, I'm looking forward to that in a couple of weeks. So that'll be fun.
That will be
Yeah.
fun. I'm excited for it as well.
Yeah.
If it means anything to you, Jimmy, and it pains me to say this a little bit, but that legendary gun that I got did not feel all that different from like a normal assault rifle.
Yeah, I
It
noticed
looked a
because
lot different, but it didn't feel as different as I expected.
yes, and
I'm
you
sure
got
there
really
might be-
quiet about it, and I was like, oh, he doesn't like this thing. I think it's because it was like a level 7 legendary or whatever. I wonder if later on it's different.
Yeah, yeah. Like I expected to get a feeling out of it, like some of the. I don't know. I want different feedback from it, and I wasn't getting that, and I was like,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it was powerful, but I mean,
At what cost?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I know what you mean.
Like I had an LMG that had freezing ammo. That at least, like I was seeing effects from it, and it was kind of cool. And there's gonna be that, so there will be others that have ammunition effects and all that, and so I'm still down. It's not just about the guns either.
Yeah.
So I'm still on board. By the way, that flight simulation, what did you call it?
Base Combat 7. Skies
Yes.
Unknown.
Can you fly the Lockheed F-117 Nighthawk?
I haven't gotten that far in my jet skill tree or whatever it's called. There's like unlocking jets and stuff. Maybe. I wouldn't be surprised. It looked like there was a lot of jets on there. I would love to play this co-op. I was having a good time. It's a little hard. The missions, I was playing on easy, and it was still pretty hard. There's also a casual easy setting. And I was like, wait a sec. I was like, there's casual easy, normal, and hard. But yeah, it's a tough game, but it's really fun. I think if anybody out there really likes those types of jet flying games or those flight sim games, this would be one for you. I think you probably already played it because it came out in 2019. But in case you haven't, and you have a Game Pass and you want to check it out, I recommend it. Like I said, after playing Star Wars Squadrons a little, it felt a little bit like that. I was like, yeah, I got the hang of this. And it was third person. Yeah. You can go into first person if you want, but I like the third person.
Third person's kind of cool. I like seeing the plane. Like,
yeah, it's cool. Yeah, dude. And like, oh, it also has this really great little thing where if you're turning just the right way or near a cloud, you'll get the condensation of the that vapor, that water vapor going up and over the wings, just on like the part where it's attached to the fuselage. Like I'm like, oh yeah, and you get like when you go through the clouds, like the camera gets like little water droplets on it. And I was like, oh, that's pretty fun. I was like, it's pretty good. That's pretty good.
So
yeah.
I want to make sure, rabbit hole, but I had to bring this up. Everybody knows the F-117 Nighthawk. Retired in 2008. Probably my favorite plane ever. Everybody's favorite plane ever, except for the A-10 Warthog, which is just a doozy of a thing. Last time, this retired in 2008. The last missions it flew were when we first invaded Baghdad back in...
Yeah.
I don't know, what would that have been after 9/11?
Sure.
But anyway, apparently computers are what kept it in the air. It's kind of unflyable manually. The
really?
Computers actually keep it from, because it's really unbalanced or it reacts weird or something like that because of its shape. But the computers, they was able to keep it in the air, kind of a thing.
Was it unmanned?
No, it was manned.
Okay,
It was
I thought
manned.
so.
You still needed to fly
Yeah.
it, but I mean, the computer like assisted because it had to. There were certain things to keep in there. You can read all about it. It was like Lockheed's special division called Skunk Works. There's a book on it and everything, but
Sure.
it's a really cool plane. I've seen one in person down in the Wright Pat Air Force Base Museum. I could spend days in museums like that. It's so cool. Uh, Oh, they have an A-10 Warthog, which, for any Call of Duty fans out there, that is the precision strike jet that you hear come striking
Obviously.
overhead. Yeah. Um, the sound of those twin turbine engines make enemies run for the hills
Yeah, man.
because close their air support for ground troops and all that.
I'd say the same thing about the Apache helicopter too. They'd hear there's a specific sound they make, and people just go running, baby. That's all I'm trying to say. You know, I mean, AH-64D variant. You know, that's my kind of thing. I was more an SR-71 Blackbird kind of guy, but whatever. It's fine. It's all planes. You know, they're flying, baby.
Oh, yeah, okay. Oh, and another thing. So, okay, but the A-10 Warthog, they have at Wright Pat, and I'm sure they have it elsewhere, but they actually have the gun that's mounted in the nose of that plane or front body of that plane.
It's like they built it around the gun.
They built it around the gun.
Yeah, it's huge. It's
mean,
massive.
It's huge.
They call it a tank killer for a reason. I feel like it came out of
Yeah.
World War II. That's the look of this thing. It's like old school, just like steel. It's like, yep, here it comes.
It is a big cluster of barrels with a
Yeah.
big box.
Yeah. And they're still using them. They're like, you know what? If it ain't broke, they're like, we're going to keep using it. Yeah, when it came to the stealth ones, the SR-71s, man, that was where I was at.
So that jet. There's a story about that jet. First of all, that jet, it actually gets so hot from the speed it's achieving and all that, it actually like leaks fuel or something like that. You can read up on that too. I forget where I read that, but it actually leaks fuel. And then when it achieves a certain speed, something about pressure contains it again or something like that.
Really?
But
Fascinating.
you're subsonic and it flies at such a high elevation. It's like there's less wind resistance, so it's really it's fast. There's actually an interview with Elon Musk. It's a podcast with Joe Rogan, Elon Musk, one of the recent ones, I think, where he talks about he actually named his kid after the first prototype of the SR-71.
Oh, really?
I forget his kid's name, but he said, yeah, there's like a Y and a number in there or something like that. And he's like, that's my contribution. That's after the first prototype of the SR-71. I'm like, this guy is nuts.
Great.
I mean, I would love that as a name, but anywho, there's an old story about, it's probably some bogus thing that's just a joke, but, well, actually, I don't think so. I think it was an actual article, but there was a plane calling in to check speed and approach or something at a local air traffic control tower. And so like a little Cessna or something. I don't know the exact story, so I'm kind of filling the gaps. But they call in and they're like, approaching at, whatever knots. And then there happens to be nearby, there's training going on or something. Some jet pilot calls in, or a commercial airliner. Yeah, I think it was a commercial airliner. He calls in, just to be like, what speed and approach am I? And, it's like, 500 miles an hour or whatever. And the SR-71 pilot is overhearing all this from way the hell up, and he radios in, can I get a speed check? And it was like, crazy speeds. I don't even know what it is. I just remember, the story, and it's like each one's topping each other.
Oh, for sure.
SR-71 calls in. He's just like, yeah.
I got your beat.
Yeah.
Well, and people know it from pop
I don't even know
culture.
if they use them anymore.
I'm not sure if they do. I just know that people would know it as like the X-Men jet. That's usually what it
Modeled
looks like.
after
Yeah,
it,
like an SR-71, which isn't always the case. But I was like, man, who did he, like, Xavier have to trick? And he's like, you're gonna give me, your SR-71 Blackbird. Like it's like not even. I don't think it's like supposed to be a transport ship either. It's not like he got like a stealthy Chinook or something. Not that those are super stealthy, but I'm like for like transport. He's like, I want one that can go so fast and quietly. Like strap the kids in. Let's go. Yeah, Xavier, man, he just loved it.
Yeah. Mach 3 plus.
Dang.
Is the speed. Strategic reconnaissance aircraft developed and manufactured by the American aerospace company Lockheed Corporation.
What's the
Operated by
71
the
from?
United States Air Force and NASA. NASA apparently operated one.
Yeah.
Top speed is 2,193 miles an hour. That's almost incomprehensible. Wingspan is 56 feet. I've seen one in real life. They have one on display at Wright Pat.
Is that 71 the year or the model or something? That must just be that. I forget.
It was introduced in 1966.
It came out in 66? Wow, that's crazy
Yeah,
to think it's that
old.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what one of the Decepticons churned nice guy, Autobot, in Revenge of the Fallen. He is an SR-71 and then turns
which is actually cool. I like that.
It's cool. There's some cool stuff in the Transformers movies. Speaking of which, there's a good 2-on-1 I think where Optimus in that movie, like he fights maybe more than two, but he starts killing everybody. He's like, I'll take you all on. Freaking love
So
Optimus.
it was retired. It was retired. It was kind of a Cold War
makes sense
thing.
Fast and quiet.
So yeah, they retired it in 98, and then NASA retired it in 99. I'm not sure what NASA really used it for, but yeah, so it is retired.
Yeah. Well, there is your aviation talk, which you got in aviation, you've gotten animals today. You got a lot of stuff extra today. You're welcome. You guys are so welcome.
Yeah, you're welcome.
If anybody listens to this portion, I want to hear if anybody listens to this portion specifically, the airplane talk, which is I think we're both fascinated about it. I just have a heavy respect for it, or a high respect for all that stuff, because when I'm on like a 747, I'm like, this is about as much as I could do. You know, I wouldn't be like, put me in the F-16 or the F-15 or whatever, or the F-22s. Oh my lordy Lou, those Raptors.
I wouldn't pass out from the G-forces. I'd pass out from the experience. I'd just be like, oh.
Dude, think if you're just like hovering in an F-35 Lightning. It's like hovering like in place. That would be so cool. You'd be like, I'd be like,
that would freak me out more than going.
Yeah, like, that'd be freaky. You'd
forward.
Be like,
yeah.
Okay.
This thing just doesn't look like it's meant to do this.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, okay, this man.
And I know if we fall, there's going to be a big explosion. I'm probably going to melt in a bottle of flames.
Yep, that's exactly what it is, a bottle. I like that. Joe, that means we're going to move into the last segment of the show, which is community feedback and
questions.
There we go. I put a cheer in there. But anyway, we got these questions from our Discord. Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate it so much. This one came in last week from Mecha Recca, and I forgot to ask it last time. But Joe, this one, what is the comic book crossover that you've never seen, but that would get you the most excited? And I don't know if he just means in the movies or comics in general, because I feel like everything's crossed over, and I do not know a lot about that. I know Predator and Batman have fought. I would like Predator to fight Deathstroke, personally.
Excuse me? Predator and Batman have fought?
Yes, they have. It's messed up, man. Batman has fought a lot of people. Weirdly, he fights a lot of people.
Wow.
If you gave him the God Killer swords, Deathstroke versus Ghost Rider, that'd be one. That would be like my ultimate dream. Because, like, I don't know. I think Ghost Rider takes that fight like 9 times out of 10. But if Deathstroke had some prep time and they're like, you got to kill Ghost Rider, he'd be like, all right, how am I going to do this? Like, he's a demon kind of thing.
First
like
of all,
dude.
fire extinguisher, holy water.
He's like, we're going to fight by the ocean. I'm going to kick him in. Even though I don't think that extinguishes hellfire. But he would think it would, because he'd be like, is it regular fire? He's like, but he's always burning. He's like just sitting there thinking about this the whole time. He's like, I don't know. How does this even work? I don't know. But yeah,
Ghost
for
Rider,
me,
such a cool, underutilized character.
It kills me, dude. Kills me so much. Anyway, Joe, is there any comic book crossovers you want to see? And that doesn't have to be just Marvel and DC. And there's a lot of different, like Spawn. Something
that I
else.
would like to see, or like made up, or like that have actually happened that I haven't seen.
No, man, that would get you most excited. Also, Batman fought Spawn once, and he said punching and kicking him felt like kicking concrete. I was like, oh, he's a durable boy. You just punch him in the face, and he's like, whatever, I'm flipping Spawn, dude. Like,
They call me old Blockjaw.
dude, classic Blockjaw. Side note, in Sniper Elite 4, which I finished recently, I kept hitting the lower jaws of my victims, like maybe 7 out of 10 of the times. Like, I would hit a lower. I don't know. I didn't mean to. I was going for like just headshots.
It's not a kill shot.
Dude, I was getting. It was going through. I don't
through their teeth, and they're just like.
I was trying to think of what would my sniper name be. Would I be like lower jaw or like jaw or jaws? Like I don't.
Lockjaw.
Call me Lockjaw, dude. Just I'll shoot the jaws off a man 200 meters out. Yeah, like seriously, 7 times out of 10 would be a lower jaw specifically. I was like, ooh, I hope you didn't have braces. Yeah, it was pretty messed up. Anyway, but yeah, any comic crossover like Turtles versus Galactus? Maybe that's happened. I don't know. Be a weird fight. I got him on today.
I don't know.
There's got to be something out there.
What about Spawn Ghost Rider, like Hell vs. Hell?
Yeah, I don't know if that's happened before, but that would be pretty cool. I'd be all
Those two
about that.
need to be together in some fashion.
They'd probably fight for a bit, and then they'd be like, we should team up. Like they do in all these like crossover events. It's like, well, actually, you're not really the bad guy. But no, that would be really cool. I think, unfortunately, I do think Spawn takes that fight. Spawn's ridiculous. He's ridiculous.
Spawn is,
he's like, he beat God and Satan. He banished both of them, and like people go to that a lot, and they're like, well, he did that, so he can almost do whatever he wants, right? And it's like, yeah, kind of. But yeah, it'd be a fun fight to watch. I'd totally watch that. That'd be great. Yeah.
It's a little much.
It's a bit much. It is a bit much. Spawn is a bit much. But then he also has like magic that will run out eventually. I don't know. He's weird. Anyway, next question. This one also comes in from this one actually comes in from Missile Mage. I'm sorry about that. Missile Mage asked us this, Joe. What? This is so good. He says, what's your favorite movie that isn't a good movie? Well, you know what? If I like it, then it is a good movie. I don't know. I say it a lot, but there's something about if I had to choose one, man, I guess Billy Madison. There's something about Billy Madison, like Happy Gilmore.
That's a good movie.
I know, but like, I don't know what constitutes a bad movie. I'm not saying Billy Madison's bad. I'm just saying that like it's not one that if someone's like, "What's your favorite movie?" I wouldn't be like, "It's Billy Madison." I'd be like, "It's Lord of the Rings." You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I'm trying to.
Mine is the Underworld series.
Oh, dude.
Underworld movies.
I like them. I don't know if they're bad. I don't know, dude.
They're
Monster Hunter,
not great.
The Monster Hunter movie that I haven't seen yet. I've heard bad things about.
Can we see that yet?
They're not letting it out for rent for a bit, and I'm like, guys, you're killing me. Like,
sorry,
please.
you picked the wrong time to come out. You should have either just waited on the release or.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I wanted that, but yeah, I was just like, I don't know. But yeah, Underworld. Joe, is there any that I talk about a lot that you're like, man, that's a bad? I just don't think any of the movies I like are bad because I think inherently, if you like a movie, it's not a bad movie. Like to you.
Yeah,
you know?
sure.
Like,
I accept that. Like, I enjoy the Underworld movies. Like, oh, hey, look what's on, and I'll watch it. I accept that they're not the greatest in their little. Well, especially the last one. The last one, I don't even. Nope. I don't even.
Oh yeah, that was weird.
No, that one was.
It was very different.
Yeah.
I also don't know if Missile Mage is baiting me to say Kung Pao Enter the Fist, because I think that's a good movie. But I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm not sure. That's a good one. That's a great question for everybody else who's listening to this. What's your favorite? Well, just what's your favorite movie that maybe isn't widely considered to be like really enjoyed? I don't know, but if you enjoy
Here's
it,
what we'll do for you, Jimmy. We'll carry that one into next week's podcast, and you'll have to answer it then. We'll give you some time to mull it over.
The problem is I can't think of a bad movie. Like I really, well, to me, I understand that some people don't like certain movies, but Like, I love Revenge of the Sith, but most people don't love Revenge of the Sith, and I'm like, I love that movie.
But it's not a bad movie.
It's not a bad movie.
No.
Yeah, right. Anyway, this is the last question that comes in, and this is one that's going to strike home, Joe. This is a hard-hitting one. This one also comes in from Mecha Recca. This question: favorite/worst pizza toppings, and what is your perfect pie? Please include style: New York, Chicago, Detroit, etc. I don't know, first off, what a Detroit style is, but it sounds pretty good. I feel like I need to look it up.
Detroit style? Are you kidding?
Is that like
Nothing
a Jets?
good comes out of Detroit.
I gotta. Well, they can make a bunch of cars. Which, side note, Joe, did you hear about this? I heard about this today. Little side note. Ford has given permission to 30,000 employees that they can work from home indefinitely, allowing them to come into work only for meetings and things and have flexible hours. 30,000 for a car company. That's a big deal.
Go work for Ford.
Dude, this pandemic, one thing that's going to shift is how many people need to be in a building. Like, I just think about that. I'm like, people are going to be like, we can cut costs. You work from home? Perfect. Sounds good.
Even the office buildings around here, I'm sure you see it even more than I do. But yeah, a lot of them are going to remote working.
Yep.
Insurance companies, software sales companies, just speaking of a few that are in my area. But I can work from home technically.
Yeah.
But there are certain things that, work allows me to do more efficiently, or, the office allows me to do more efficiently, or I have certain resources there that help me.
Yeah.
But
Anywho.
yeah, I was listening to a podcast. No, you can't stop me.
Time killers. I tried. Ladies and gentlemen, I tried. Ryan's the only one listening. Keep going. That's fine, North.
I was listening to another podcast, and they were talking about how this pandemic has forced a lot of change at a very quick pace.
Yeah.
Much sooner than it would have naturally happened. Like what we're transitioning to right now, or have transitioned to, was always kind of inevitable. Like the whole realizing that we don't need to have physical spaces for people to come to work, cut the commute out of the day. They can be more efficient and comfortable working from home and enjoy what they do maybe a little more because they're in their own environment at home and doing their own thing, and can maybe multitask on a few other things, take care of some personal items in between. And it makes them feel more free. And it scares a lot of old school people that are like, I got to get up and get my coffee. I got to be to the office at 6 a.m. This is a lot of forced change in a short amount of time, much earlier than it would have naturally happened. Because, 10, 15, 20 years down the road, it probably would have been kind of more of a norm or more common. And here now it's something that was kind of forced upon us, and companies realize, hey, I can save a lot of money by sending my workers home to work, even though I know I'm going to probably lose an hour or two of productivity out of them each day. I save a lot of money on this end with real estate and space. And all I need to do is give them a nice computer, and we're good to go. So, yeah, it's an odd shift. It's really weird. But anywho, just my little blurb about that. So back to planes.
No. So HR must be changing, because it can't be the workplace problems anymore. It's like just checking in on you and checking in. I wonder if you're in HR, please let us know how your job has changed. I knew what Detroit style pizza was. Apparently, I thought this was what it was, but I wanted to double check. Detroit style pizza is a rectangular pizza with a thick crust that is crispy and chewy. It is traditionally topped with tomato sauce and Wisconsin brick cheese that goes all the way to the edges. I had one recently, and I gotta say, to be honest with you, I really love Detroit-style pizza. We just don't call it that around here. I don't know if, Joe, I think you're familiar with it. It's usually it's legit a rectangle, thick crust.
Okay.
It's not a circle. I like it a lot, and that's probably my favorite. Favorite toppings, though, pepperoni and pineapple, or a pep and pine. I'm still waiting for the day, because shrimp has been in short supply because of the pandemic, to make my, what I like to call the South Pacific, which is a shrimp and pineapple pizza. Sounds delicious, right? Because I've never been a fan of Canadian bacon, and the Hawaiian is not my style. Worst toppings, though, for me, black olives, onions, pretty much anything supreme or too much on there. I'm not a garbage pizza kind of guy, because I'm not a garbage individual. Joe, what do you feel about that?
Jimmy likes pineapple on his pizza, but doesn't like macaroni and cheese. Riddle me that, buddy.
Yes. Call me out. I'm an imperfect person. That makes me human, doesn't it?
Relatable.
Relatable. Everybody hates mac and cheese. No, I told Joe this the other night, and he's like, I didn't know this about you. I think I really am one of 5 people on planet Earth that doesn't like mac and cheese. There's like fried mac and cheese now that people get, and it's just like a common thing. I forget the name of it, but it's really weird. It's like a corn dog with mac and cheese filled. And I'm like,
that's a state fair treat thing. But the thing is, I've probably met more people in my life that don't like chocolate more than I've ever heard. I don't like mac and cheese. Are you kidding me?
Where are they? The chocolate haters? Oh my gosh, those people.
Our buddy Drew, he's not a chocolate fan. He doesn't like it.
I'm not a fan of Drew. Sorry about that. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I'm kidding, Drew. It's fine. More chocolate for me.
It's a little weird. It's interesting. Anywho, we're gonna be very opposite, you and I.
Yep.
By the way, Haley likes pineapple on her pizza.
Atta girl.
I am a garbage pizza kind of guy.
I respect that.
I want it all. I want every type of meat you can fit on it.
Scrapings off the floor, dead skin cells, hairs, all of it, dude. Right on the pizza.
The roach you smashed that crawled out under the fridge while you were making it.
Extra protein, baby, makes it chewy.
I like that crunch.
I love that crunch, baby.
Oh god, no. I do. I get garbage pizza. Like I'm talking like it's like when you go to Subway and you see all the veggies and you're like, I'd like all of it, please.
Sure. Okay.
That's how I like to roll. I really like it. So yeah, basically all the meats, as Arby's likes to say. I hate Arby's so much.
You hate Arby's? Wait, whoa, what? We should do a fast food episode. You hate Arby's?
Oh, we should do a fast food.
Don't you like the au jus? I like that they just do roast beef in a sandwich. It's just roast beef and some bread. For me, I'm like perfect. I'm so plain.
It's not roast beef, bro.
What have I been eating?
Not roast beef.
It's emu, isn't it? Classic emu. No.
There ain't no meat in that roast beef. It ain't.
Beef. But anyway, you like everything that's on. You want a garbage pizza. Like I said, I was joking before. Yes. If you love garbage pizzas, you're not a garbage person. I just am not a fan because it's just too much for me. But I respect when people order. I want to order it. I want to be like, yeah, give me a garbage pizza. So make it sound cool. You're like, throw it all on there.
So here's something I would challenge people to do. If you like say if you like garbage pizza, if you like olives to any degree, a great combination is pepperoni and green olives. Yeah. There's something about that combination of like the kind of what's pepperoni? It's kind of got like a spicy kick, but also like a tang to it. That kind of processed meat, which it's good. And then you throw that green olive with it, pimento stuffed green olives, but sliced, the way they should be for pizza. Throw that on top of your pizza, cook it in with, oh my God, there's something about like that kind of like salty, meaty, it's just right. It is really kind of tasty. So if you like green olives, I suggest you try it. It's a good combination. But yeah, for me, I go black and green olives. I go jalapeno peppers, banana peppers, mushrooms, onions. Dang, and then I just go pepperoni, sausage, Canadian bacon, and I think that's it. That's the actual pizza I get at a local joint here in town, and it's good. And I always get thin crust. I get thin crust. They call it a stampede. It's a stampede pizza because it's like a Western. Like you get all the meats and you get all of the peppers and veggies. I always. It doesn't normally come with jalapenos, banana peppers. I substitute that in. I get rid of the green peppers and the I just get rid of green peppers. I hate green bell peppers on stuff.
Okay, but you're a thin crust guy.
Yeah, I get thin crust, mainly for the health stuff. But I think if I normally had to choose, standard crust is good with me.
Thin crust, I could annihilate like an entire pizza. Like if you're like they bring out like this huge thin crust, and I'm like, I could inhale that through my nostrils. Like
exactly. That's why I get the thin crust. I can.
2 pizzas. Thin crust though.
It's only all about the toppings pizza for me.
I like mushrooms, man. I just do not like them on a pizza. That's personally. But you brought something good. Banana pepper at Papa John's. You guys, people are gonna think I'm nuts because I am. Get like a cheese pizza from Papa John's. Probably my favorite like branded pizza. Papa John's. Like it's just so tasty. But what I would do, Joe, I would take a slice and I grab that banana pepper that usually comes in each one. I'd bite the banana pepper and then take a bite of the cheese pizza as like a chaser. I don't know how this started, but like, you know how people do tequila shots with lime? That's how I eat the pizza. I'll be like, it's delicious.
So I don't mean to step on toes here, but I think what you're talking about, here, because I've never had a Papa John's pizza.
Yeah.
But the way you're describing it, it's a whole pepper.
I might be wrong on the pepper.
Tangy, right?
It's like a light green, almost a yellow.
It's very close to a banana pepper, but it's actually a Greek pepper, I believe is what they're called. They also put them on like certain salads.
Oh,
like
maybe that's it.
Cheese and stuff.
Yeah, maybe that's what I'm thinking.
Sure, it's a Greek pepper.
Maybe
either
I've
way,
been
still
wrong.
Good.
I've been wrong because banana pepper is that the size of a banana?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
We're learning together.
I'm not sure. Yeah, let's learn together. But I'm pretty sure there's a different. Because I've tried this before. Like, I'll buy a jar of yellow peppers that I think are like tangy banana peppers, and it turns out they're all slivered up Greek peppers, and they have a distinctly. I don't want to say distinctly, but they have a different taste. Mm-hmm. And I much prefer banana peppers.
They say it's banana, but maybe it's not. But also, maybe
it's
like
the same, just different treatment.
Is it a GMO thing too? Like, because when I look at a strawberry versus like a GMO strawberry, it's like a real strawberry, like a natural one is like this. A GMO one's like the flipping size of like a skyscraper.
Here's the thing: is I've never seen an actual full-on banana pepper.
Okay, we're gonna figure this out though. That's maybe I haven't either. I need to know. We're gonna find out together because I'm willing to take the sacrifice of my misunderstanding because I can always learn. That's the scientist in me. Pepper with Papa John's pizza. It says that. Oh, I'm wrong. Joe is right. They're pepperoncinis. Pepperoncinis.
Pepperoncini.
It says pepperoncini. Medium heat chilies grown in the Mediterranean regions. Joe.
Yeah.
I was wrong. I think someone told me banana peppers once, and you know what? I never thought to ask. But here, you've taught me, and I've learned pepperoncinis. I don't care. Whatever that thing is, take a bite of that. Take a bite of cheese pizza.
I merely brought it up because I think it's fun education and experience.
I love it.
It's good conversation.
I need to learn.
Calling you out.
You're calling.
I thought they were the same thing for the longest time too.
I needed to learn. I need to learn, Joe. You were in the restaurant business longer than me, so you know more about this stuff. You're so bad.
I was in the restaurant business for a bit.
I think everybody, if you're listening to this and made it this far, most people haven't. Ryan, if you're still listening, Ryan will agree with this. I think it should be mandatory that every person in the United States works one day in the restaurant business and one day in the retail business. Just 2 days on a weekend. You just work both. You get paid. But I will tell you what right now, my friends, everyone would be nicer to each other. Everyone would be so much sweeter because you spend 1 day in either of those businesses and you're like, oh my gosh. It's just like, those people. I feel bad for them.
I would say waiting tables or maybe even more so bussing tables, the dishwasher. The guy that's got to get the bin, go get the shit off the table.
No, they got to be a waiter, Joe. They got to be a waiter, and they have to be a salesperson in retail because those are the jobs where you come into contact with people and have the most face time. The bussers,
I suppose
they just take the stuff and they go away. It's not a fun job, right? But it can be a job where you have the headphones in. If you're a waiter, though, or waitress, you got people who are very angry that the food is running a few moments late. Or there was something like, it's like you didn't cook it.
My steak isn't pink enough, or mine didn't squirt me in the eye when I cut into it.
One of my that's what I need. I need to squirt me in the eye. I want to be blinded by my steak. One of my favorite jokes to use on a server and to see if they get my style is I'll be like, oh my gosh, you cooked this? Like, you did such a good job. And more often than not, they laugh and they're like, yep, I'm cooking everybody's meals and I'm serving them all. Clearly, they're not doing that, right? They're going and grabbing and bringing it out. But once in a while, I've had people, they're like, oh no, I just deliver the food. There's someone in the back who's like cooking it. I'm like, oh, I know. It was a joke. I'm sorry. You're busy. They're so busy. They're like, and that person's just trying to memorize orders and drink orders and things. And I'm like throwing in these stupid jokes. I miss servers, man. I haven't been out in public for a while. Only places I go, Joe, they know my order because I've gone there too much. They're like, oh, you want the usual? I'm like, yes, please. Yes,
Is
please.
it that obvious?
One day that's Takumi Tei, Joe. Just walk in, they'll be like, oh god, he's back. And they'll be like, hello, everyone. The A5 Wagyu. Ayumi! They'll be like, and Ayumi, no Ayumi has ever worked here. It'll be like, oh, like, it'll be like, it'll break my brain. They'll be like, oh my gosh, she never existed. No. Yeah, that's a movie right there. Anyway, thank you for your questions. Oh, Joe, before we wrap up, you didn't say what your least favorite or worst topping was. Is it pineapple? Is it pepper and cheese?
I mean, come on. Everybody has to say anchovies. I don't think I've ever had an anchovy.
That's rough, dude. You're right, dude. I'll take garbage pizza over anchovies. I'm with you, dude. Yeah, not happening. It's just not happening.
Close runner-up, by the way, I really love buffalo chicken pizza. I think that's a good thing. Oh, you dip that in a little ranch, and you just got a magic mouth marinade thing.
Is the buffalo with the white cream sauce though? Like before you dip it in the ranch?
Buffalo's like the red wing sauce, you know.
Okay, but sometimes I've had buffalo chicken pizza where it's like they substitute the marinara with like a white sauce. Did you ever had that? It's pretty disgusting. I don't know.
No.
I'm not a big fan of that.
No.
Dude, but now that I know about Detroit style pizza, by the way, I got one from Pizza Hut recently. Oh my gosh. Drive-through Pizza Hut. What an experience. It's like one of the most American things I could possibly think about. It's like, yeah, I got a gigantic pizza, and they just handed it through this little window. And the box was this big. Like, it was so much bigger than I thought it was going to be. And yes, my hands are off the screen, and they it was like sliding out comically from the window. Like one of those sub sandwiches at Subway that's like 10 feet long. They were like, here's more.
They didn't tell me I'd need a truck and trailer.
Yeah, I didn't know. I thought, like, when you see pictures online with, like, especially pizzas and stuff, I'm like, it's not, like, oh, look at the picture of that box. It's not that big. And then when we got it, I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, this thing's actually, it's a little bit more than I thought. But anyway, I like Detroit-style pizza a lot. I like a thick crust. And you know what? It's probably the least healthy of all the options we talked about here tonight. But I would love to hear what people think about that, too. So tell us your favorite movie that most people maybe wouldn't love, and also favorite type of pizza. What do you like on there? What don't you like? Maybe brand names. If Joe and I do a fast food episode or a pizza episode, I feel like the problem is we could do a whole episode on Taco Bell. You know what I mean? Like, you could sit there and really, like, go through it, but I don't know. Because it'd be hard to go through these fast food places quickly. How much time do we spend on the Coke at McDonald's? Like, the other day. Like, that was a long time. That was for the Coke.
We could just do an episode of, like, we could, like, literally, like, for the video instead of the face thing, we could have, like, we could do this a little different and share, pull up the literal menu for each place and go like, okay, my favorite on this list.
Sure.
If I were in a pinch, what would I get?
Yeah.
All right.
Do that.
And what's the most absurd thing on here? And what would, in our opinion, be our least liked item? Yep. Last ordered item. Boom.
There we go.
Oh my God, we could have a lot of fun.
There you go. I like it. I like where your head's at, man.
I like
Dude,
it.
it's a pop culture podcast, but guess what? We're going to go get some pop and put it in this podcast, baby.
No. We'll call it Dinner and a Movie.
Dinner and a Movie. What's the movie? We're not sure. It might be it might be Zack Snyder's Justice League because it's like 4 hours long. So it's a long movie. It's like you're eating in the theater. It's eating in that little state theater back at school.
Speaking of, I may be hitting you up this weekend to watch that.
I will definitely talk to you and plan this out because it might not be one of those things like we've done in the past where it's like Hobbs and Shaw at 1 a.m, like, you know, after we're done playing games or something.
No, it's something like you start at 8 because it still won't be done until midnight. So.
You're like, Imagine starting that at like 2 a.m. You're like, this can't be that long. And then you're like 6 a.m, sun's coming up, and you're like, like, oh the Joker had 1 hour monologue. He had a 1 hour monologue. It's incredible.
They could have cut something.
Zach's like, no, it's all in there. My question is, if this is really successful, do they continue with more Zack Snyder stuff? Like, we'll see. We'll talk about it next week. But I'm just so curious to watch this because people have seen it already. I don't know what people are saying because I don't want to know.
All right. We'll do Justice League next week, but mark my words, we're doing the fast food menu episode.
I love that idea, dude. That's great. That'll be so much fun. Oh my gosh. Anyway, Joe, this has been so much fun. I appreciate chatting with you, man. It's good, you know, chatting about these things, these fights.
It was a pleasure. It went way too long. Jimmy, what I would like you to do, I would really like you to just title this one The Rabbit Hole CR Podcast, or CR Critical Reviews Podcast, The Rabbit Hole.
This
it's
just more content.
We were all over the place today. Whew.
Apparently, I've heard from a new podcasting group out there, my friends over at Provost Park Pass, that they were told to do shows between 23 and 27 minutes long, and I was like, ha 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 ha. I was like, I don't know if we can ever do that, even if we tried, and we're like, all right, hey, did you like that movie? Yeah, I did too. What other movies have you seen? Not many. Like, oh, well, thanks for watching. Like, we just can't. We can't do it.
Here's the problem, though, is, and I prefer this because I do listen to podcasts. Jimmy will be like, well, you don't listen to it. Well, that's because I was here. I recorded it with you.
It teaches you how to be better. Sorry.
But I like my podcast to be over an hour.
Yeah, I do too.
Sit, because if I'm listening to a podcast, I want it to be lengthy. Otherwise, it's like, oh, great, I got to find another episode to listen to that I might actually be interested in.
Yep.
If I genuinely like listening to the people in this particular episode or that are on the podcast in general, I want it to go for a little ways. I want it to have a little bit of legs. And so maybe that's not us and we need to cut down to 23 minutes, whatever.
I don't think it's going to happen. That's all right. Maybe one day when I move over to California and the time changes up, I'll be like, all right, Joe, we're recording 4 tonight, and it's all going to happen in the space of an hour and a half. Welcome back. Just do them quick like that, and then I'll be like, all right, I'll talk to you next month. Then we both run off into the distance. No, I'm just kidding. That'd be horrible. Oh, my gosh. Anyway, no, I like how we do the show. I think it's fun, and I think the people who listen to this show are feeling the same way you do, Joe, especially Ryan, who is the only one here at the end. If anyone else is here at the end, he's good people. If anyone else is here at the end, let me know, because a little peek behind the curtain, I know most people aren't. Usually the retention rate's like 14 minutes or so. So like, I'm like, okay, they usually get to the half point and they're like, yeah, I'm done. Like they got in, they're like,
you got my view, I'm gone.
I'm out of here. I liked it or maybe disliked it. Most people, it's usually likes, you know. But I appreciate you guys. And if you did make it this far, you can tweet us using the hashtag Critical Podcast. You can do it at Twitter. You know, our Twitter accounts are linked. You're seeing them pop up. I'm not even going to say it anymore. You should know. No, I'm just kidding. But hit us up.
I'm not reading
there.
mine this time.
He's not going to do it. It's all right. It's popping up on the screen if anybody sees it. And the hashtag this week is going to be hashtag 2 versus 1. It's going to be pretty straightforward. I don't want to have to. It's that 2 vs 1 or 2 Victor Sierra 1. Yeah, there you go. A little bit of military alphabetical speak. By the way, Joe, I was talking to somebody on the phone before we started the show today, and they were not using military speak like that. And I wanted to say, like, do you mean, like he used H for hotel, but then one of the other letters later on, it wasn't like the military. And I wanted to be like, actually, what is that last one? So, say it right, son. No, he didn't care. But anyway, shout out to that guy who helped me with something that's coming up in the future that might show up on this channel. Who knows? Anywho, but yes, 2 versus 1. We have a bunch of things you can do to support us, but honestly, the best thing you can do, just comment below. If you're still listening to this and you're just listening to the audio version, like on the various sites where you could rate it, let us know. If you're listening on Spotify, let us know how it sounds. I just would genuinely like to know. And as I always ask people, if we get like 10 people to cohesively come together and say, we want all of the older episodes on Spotify, on iTunes, I will do it then. But until that point, you guys are going to have to just deal with the new stuff on Spotify. So there you go. All right. So let us know.
Good.
Spotify's good. I just don't want to have to go back and upload all those old audio files because it's a lot harder of a process than you'd think. Trust me. I know of what I speak. Unless somebody wants to do it for free and help me out. That's all right. Anyway, Joe, thank you for being on the show. Thank you to all of the people who are listening and still watching. And a huge shout out to our patrons who make this stuff possible or continue to just support us financially. We just appreciate you guys. Thank you. Thank you. There we got some people over there, some stalwart legionnaires who are still here after 5 years. That's a long flipping time. Anyway, until next time, ladies and gentlemen, just remember to adapt and overcome.